Hello. Looks like people are just starting to come on in. Hey, everybody that is here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess my mic works, huh? Do I sound like I'm in a tunnel?
Yeah, you sound not only like you're in a tunnel, but you sound far away.
I feel like I'm far away with this crap going on.
Is this any better?
Yeah. Ah, that's much better. Hi, Sovereign Man. How you doing?
I am blessed.
You're blessed. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I could, put out a negative vibe, but trying not to.
Yeah. Yeah, we need all the positivity we can get, huh? Hey, Tracy. Looks like Jesse's here. Hey, Jesse. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do my little...
Hi, Lily.
Hey, who's this?
This is Jesse.
Hey, Jesse. Hard to tell. I'm still working on the different host platform is different than the platform you see online, and I'm used to the one that's usually online, not the app, and so it's hard to see who's who.
You're on the application
Gotcha.
on the phone, on the mobile.
No. On the computer, yeah, I have the app open.
Oh, you have the application open on the desktop. Gotcha.
Yes, yeah. So
It's not too bad. You just gotta kind of walk around a little bit, find out where all the furniture is.
yeah. I don't know if I'm missing buttons here. Where'd they go? Okay, so I'm going to do my little spiel to open up, and then the recording has already started. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. My name is Lily, and I will be your hostess for the evening. The views and opinions that are expressed by our listeners are not necessarily the views of Targeted Massachusetts or myself. It is the goal of this phone conference to be a place where targeted individuals can feel free to openly and safely discuss any hopes, fears, and concerns for themselves, and to offer encouragement, support and encouragement for one another. It is understood that some people may not always agree with one another, so let's start this call with the willingness to agree to disagree, keeping in mind that it's more important to support one another than for us to always be right. So with that, let's open up, and anybody feeling like anything you'd like to share? I have nothing really new to report in to anybody. Just hanging tough with all the changes and that I'm growing accustomed to, so to speak, and trying to plug away. And I'm always looking for new information. So anything that any of you want to share, please feel free at any time. If you feel like I'm carrying on too long in my conversation, please interrupt me. I get a little nervous when nobody's speaking up. So then I tend to just, I have all kinds of things to talk about sometimes, but it's really for you guys too. So primarily, So with that, Sovereign Man, what's going on? Not much.
I'm sorry. I was trying to find that mute button. What's going on is I have something to announce about Frank's broadcast. I was listening to RBN, Republic Broadcasting broadcast, Targeted Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I heard the owner of the station announce that Frank's no longer on the network and that somebody else is going to be taking his spot. So I don't know if Frank knows or not, but John has a tendency to do that. I've been like a listener of RBN for quite some time, and I have befriended a few of the hosts over the years, and that seems to be the modus operandi of John when he wants to make a change in the network. He normally just goes ahead and drops the hosts and doesn't even contact them. So I tried texting Frank earlier. It shows that he's not online via Skype, so I'll pray for him. I hope he's okay.
Yeah. That's going to be really unnerving, I'm sure. It's an awful thing to do to someone too, Yeah. It didn't sound like they had a conversation.
I don't think so. I met with a gentleman. His name was Ed Brown. He is one of the couple that they petitioned the IRS to show them the law that held them liable for income tax. He's currently still incarcerated. His wife was released in January, February. I believe in the end of February, she was released from prison, and there were two supporters of the Browns that were incarcerated also. They were released in January. But Ed made a statement to me that was one of my takeaways from meeting with them up in New Hampshire, and it was honor is a gift you give yourself. So I kind of like that, and that was one of my takeaways from Ed. So if you can, pray for Ed Brown, and if you're interested, there is a website for political prisoners. It's Year of Jubilee with one E, or you can type into your browser IHateTheFBI.com, and it will redirect to the Year of Jubilee website. There's a lot of political prisoners that are unjustly incarcerated. So, on that note, I just want to let you know.
It sure is.
I could say that the owner of RBN has a tendency not to be too honorable when he deals with, the people that are hosting programs on his network. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty nasty thing to do. I would think that maybe he should have a conversation at least with Frank first, out of respect and.
Yeah. Well, I think. Yeah. Well, early on, Frank was, I talked to Frank about doing a second hour, and there's a gentleman that comes on after Frank. He goes by the name of V. He's a targeted individual. He's over in Poland. And well, he gave V a second hour when I was claiming, trying to not claim, but was trying to, talk with Frank to, see if John could give him another hour, and maybe, well, he gave V an extra hour, and I'm like, okay. So I know Frank was probably a little bit disheartened. Disenchanted? No, disheartened. I can't even say the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, disheartened. Yeah, life is hard enough, right? And
yeah,
the last thing we ever need is to be sucker punched by regular life, too.
Yeah.
We have two real realities, right? We have our targeted life, and then we have our real life. And, I would consider the subject matter at RBN is similar to targeted stuff, or mostly targeted stuff. It's still dealing with the other life. And that, when you have both, you have being targeted all the time, any difficulties you encounter in your real life sphere are lend themselves to adding on to the burden of life, you know. So I really feel for Frank. Maybe he could find a different place, you know. Maybe there's something better for him, a different format.
Yeah, there are other platforms, and
Yep.
you know,
right.
I don't know what exactly RBN's listenership is, and the listenership for RBN, the target, or it seems like mostly it's older people, like, you know, late 40s up to the 80s.
Huh.
And I keep thinking, like, wouldn't you want to be targeting a market as in the young people, you know? But I guess it's kind of hard to get them out of their little rectangle.
Yeah.
I always find these rejections in life, being a targeted individual, will lead to something better. So I just accepted them, you know. It was like, well, that's not where I'm supposed to be. And in a way, it always benefited me to focus in on what I'm really supposed to be doing. So it hurts for a little while, but, you know, that's where we're always accepted by the almighty, you know, power, you know, to get where we're supposed to be. So it usually works out. It's a disappointment at first, and as time goes on, then it's just a matter of finding one's place, you know, that's comfortable and beneficial and you know, prosperous. So that's what it's done for me when I get rejected.
Yeah, it's always, you know, sometimes it's hard though, Ken, to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. But usually you're right. If it's depending on the situation, it's always good to pick yourself up, and hopefully you rebound stronger with whatever antagonism you encounter, you know. But it is disheartening for sure. You know, you just don't need another something, you know. So anyway, I'd like to welcome Amy and Scylla. I see is here. Uriel, Jesse. Oh, there's Richard. Hey, Richard. And how are you doing tonight, Ken? What else do you have going on?
Oh, I'm getting clobbered by this crap.
Yeah.
I had somebody, I was doing all right for a while, and then somebody moved a mobile home in behind me where one had been taken out, and so, you know, it's not good because they're only like 30 yards away, and, you know, when they came in, it's like something started all over again, but that's the way it goes, you know. I'm just trying to, I don't know, I'm not doing well, don't know what to do. I mean, there comes a point when a person gets kind of old and they don't feel like moving anymore, and it's just a matter of repositioning the boards every night, you know, and reloading the ammo and getting the guns out, you know, dusting everything off, and you know, trying to live a normal life. So I don't know. Really, I'm in a quandary again, and just try to make it from day to day. And they keep cutting my, you know, I'm writing this fiction novel about this targeting, where this woman's being stalked, and she's going after her stalkers, getting a gun, and finding out who they are, you know, overseas in some island where they're targeting her from. And now they're cutting my computer off. When I go in there and start writing, you click, you know, and I'm not even online, and they knock it off. And then, so they did that like 3 times last week, right as I was beginning to write. So that's, you know, that's kind of frustrating. So, but anyway, I'm actually about 2/3 of the way through that book, and giving a lot of good hints and tips in there for anybody that is being victimized by this crap. But she's going to get through it. You know, she's getting through it and getting a job as a detective, you know, and going after these people.
Well, I think it's really cool that you're writing a book. That's fantastic. That's a really good. There's, you know, that's healthy on multiple levels, you know?
Yeah, it's good for the mental attitude to, if not write anything, read a book. And it doesn't have to be a complicated book. Get something that's simple. Like I began my kind of comeback after they injected that last one and nearly killed me. I began it with a simple Western book, you know? So with simple dialogue, because it was really tragic what happened to me, but I got right, worked on it and got back a lot of my memory and thoughts, but it helps to really read some and then work oneself up to something a little bit more difficult, depending on the nature of the target and what's happened. So, and then to write is even better. Then it gets your it gets the what do you want to call it, the motors, the nerves and the motors getting going again.
Yeah, like there's a lot that really be good about getting your brain thinking in a different way, and that can be helping your own mind unload too. Onto that paper.
Flesh is weak, but the spirit's willing. So you just got to remain in that spirit of prosperity and work, and of course getting some rest and just praying a lot.
Yeah. Good. That's always helpful too. Can't go wrong with prayer, huh?
It was. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here. It was after that last time they tried to kill me with whatever they shot in me, and then it was the only thing that saved my life. In the next few hours, and it's only because I knew the scriptures. That I came around. I don't know where I'd have been, but that the scriptures that came to me was, in my prayer, returning to my bosom. I remember David saying that in the Psalm, and when I heard that, it's like, oh God, that's all I needed. I needed to hear that. So it really helps to, memorize the scriptures because there's life in there. And fortunately, I'd done that 40 years ago, and they come to me, in times of trouble or even happiness or sickness or whatever. I still go back to them, and I can relate. And so that's the only reason I'm still here, is because I always went back to those inspirational words that give life and they give discernment, about what's happening, because it happened years ago. All these targeting aspects are highly similar to the curse in Deuteronomy 28. They're just, and of course what Job suffered. But of course the curses and all, that's what the devil's trying to do, throwing the curse on us. So we got to throw it back. I knew that. If I hadn't known all that spiritual discernation, then I wouldn't understand what's going on. But reading that, gives enlightenment and say, oh, okay, this is what's happening. The devil's just trying to put his own curse on somebody else, and the maladies are very similar as to what's in the scripture. So that said, it's difficult, but it's temporary. Life is temporary here on earth. I know that may be a disenchanting way to express it, but it is. It's temporary, and just going to suffer for a little while, and then there'll be total freedom. So it's just enduring to the end. That's all. That's my outlook. At my age now. Anyway, those are my inspirational words for this evening.
No, they're good ones.
I like to say I'm an eternal being having a earthly experience.
There you go. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. What an experience, eh?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if people are getting kicked off at all tonight. If you're having trouble, I don't know what's happening. I'm certainly not pushing any buttons. I just noticed that a couple of people come in and out, and sometimes they get dropped calls and whatnot. So
earlier, I had an internal server error message.
You did, okay.
Well, sometimes people are around.
I got knocked off too. I just signed back in.
Yeah. You did? Okay.
That's that's what the devil does, Lil. I mean, that's what he don't want people to hear, a little wisdom or whatever.
I have a question.
Hi, Scylla.
Hi, Lily. Nice to hear your voice. Nice to hear everybody. I've been really tired, and I've been on some of the calls falling asleep, trying my hardest to stay up. But my question is that since they keep my heart on all the time, my keep the blood pressure up. I don't have high blood pressure. Usually my number is only about 108 to 110, a little on the low side. But anyway, my heart is just on, 24/7. Maybe even when I sleep, they wake me up with it. It's on right now. It's probably about, it's not bad, but 115. But my question is since they're doing that, isn't that the microwave technology? So they're just poaching my heart. I mean,
Yeah, as far as your blood pressure, I know I'm not sure because of everything I've read, it's not supposed to have, it has, I think the word is tertiary or secondary effects from the continued microwaves. And there's going to be different schools of thought on that. And it could just be that I haven't read enough about it. As far as blood pressure goes, I do know from what I've read from some information is, I'm trying to remember where, is that it causes a little bit of swelling of the brain some of the time. And it would be micronic or, very small, but it's enough that, and then once they pull I think that there's different types of weapon systems and different ways they do this. So I'm not sure what modality does what, but it could be that they're using a specific type on you that is causing you to have blood pressure issues. And if that's the case, I highly recommend you looking into the use of calcium, and you probably already do, but calcium is a natural way to lower blood pressure, high blood pressure. Usually sleep trouble and but usually coupled with blood pressure, aside from the microwave weapons and the sleep deprivation. You can CalMag Zinc combo might be able to help you with that. It might help you, give you a more sound sleep if you take it in the evening, and it might help with your blood pressure issue.
They say magnesium is good for the heart.
Yes, in fact, magnesium is one of the new. It's the new buzzword around the vitamin water cooler. You know what I mean? Magnesium, because the soils are so depleted. In that the magnesium is a lot of the magnesium. That's one of the nutrients that gets readily absorbed in farming, and so magnesium is really depleted from soils, and therefore it's missing from our diets a lot. And the other thing is too that is really important. In fact, Scylla, this might be it. Now that I'm thinking out loud here. So, out of all the research I have done for any targeted individual, it's really, really important. The number one thing we get, if you like a side effect to the weapon systems, where it definitely has an effect on our body systems, are the electrolyte family, energy. So, and the big four are calcium, magnesium, potassium, and the fourth one is it's not zinc, it's calcium, magnesium, potassium.
Probably salt. You gotta have salt to live.
And sodium. Thank you. And sodium. Those four.
Magnesium,
potassium, and sodium are the first four to get compromised in any targeted individual.
I could be.
So it has to. It has to do with cellular energy, and it's really important for you to replenish. And here's the weird thing, you know, we need, I forget the RDA, what is it? Yeah, of electrolytes, right. What's really, that's, well, yeah, but it's still,
pink Himalayan.
See, yeah, you could do Himalayan salt for salt intake. That's what I do. I do sea salts, but I source it from the Colima salt flats. I have some of that salt too. Then there's the Himalayan salt, and then there's the sea salt.
That's weird.
Yeah,
pink Himalayan has 84 minerals on average.
Does it? Yeah. So I know that it's really critical when you're TI because we get so weak, and that weakness definitely has to do with the electrolytes. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on here. Hang on. So yeah, I replenish that you need 4,700 milligrams of potassium. That's the equivalent of like 4 avocados a day in potassium. So they're zapping us and weakening the potassium. And I'll tell you, my life changed about a year ago when I started taking the electrolytes, the supplements, and I really got heavy with the potassium too. My heart no longer skipped a beat. You know, I had like a week, I'd get a flutter, I'd get almost an arrhythmia going, and it all changed, thankfully, when I started all the electrolytes. So, and then I couple it. So I have a primary recipe, if you will, of vitamins that I take that are standard, and I don't really like to deviate from the standard recipe and include herbs unless I have a specific problem, you know, like whatever that might be. But so I do the B complex. I do an additional 25 milligrams of regular niacin, and then I do a multi, and they're all whole food. I get raw calcium from Garden of Life because they source it from. They claim it's a pristine ecosystem of a certain kelp down somewhere off the coast of Patagonia or something. I don't even know how they harvest it, but they grow it or harvest it down there. So I like sourcing it from there. And then I do the standard potassium, magnesium. I'm now doing a zinc because the whole COVID issue, it helps with preventing the replication of the virus within the cell. And I think that's all. Because I pretty much get enough D between the other ones. But I can just put a list in the chat of what I take. And it took me years and years and years to master a recipe that of everything I needed extra. Because now I understand why. It was because of the targeting.
One thing they will go after is the salt. When I started carrying my salt around with me in person, my targeting changed. I mean, I got a lot better, and then I realized they had done something to my condiments. It's been about 15 or 20 years ago. And so I just started carrying it with me in my pocket. So I'm providing caution there to check it out and make sure nothing's been disturbed. And if it has, get you a new carton or bottle or whatever, however it is you purchase it. They will mess with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Lily.
Hey.
And Sovereign, it's great to hear your voice. Haven't heard you for a little while. This is Jesse, by the way. And I'd love to contribute.
Howdy, Jess.
How's it going, my brother?
I'm blessed, man. I'm surviving in the struggle, man.
I hear you. I want to just contribute a little bit to this nutrition, minerals, vitamins. So I was a nutrition major in college, although I didn't finish the degree, but I've studied nutrition my whole life. And I've been through lots of different supplements companies, all this kind of stuff. And I got out of the business several years ago, and I got back in with one product, and it has everything that you're talking about in one formula. And when I started taking this, my sleep got better. A lot of the side effects from the targeting began to dissipate, and it was just an incredible experience. So what it is, it's called Micro Daily, and it's got, so what the difference is between this product and most of the others out there that I've been is that they're micronutrients that this guy named Dr. Prasad put together. He was the guy that did the original research on radiation poisoning way back in the 40s, 30s, and 40s. Mm-hmm. And he actually he was hired by the Department of Defense to develop this formula to give to people on the front lines, all the military guys, and NASA. And he was actually recommended for a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm not sure if he got it or not, but he was recommended. So this stuff, the reason it's different, it's micronutrients that he's got 7 different patents on.
Wow.
And the patents have to do how they size down the molecule of these nutrients, these micronutrients, and then also how it is delivered into the cell, how it penetrates into the cell and penetrates past the blood-brain barrier and just starts to create more healing and coherence, nutritionally within the body. So I just can't even say enough about this stuff. There's one for the brain and there's one for the body. So I take these 2 supplements. It's the only supplements that I take other than fish oil and curcumin, I think is what it's called, which helps to just regulate.
Is it a pill form?
So it comes in, and what Ken was saying, how he carries it in his pocket, so it's because people can tamper with stuff like this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It comes in both a capsule, and you can also get it in a powder. They come in tubes with powder, and the powder is sealed. So it's very difficult for anyone to tamper with it without you knowing, because it's packaged and it's airtight.
What is the magical stuff?
Yeah, without you knowing, this has been tampered with. So and I've heard that so many times. I've had it happen to myself, and so I always like to order both the capsules and the powder. And where I live, I don't have any of the gang stalking, or very, very little of it anymore. But I had that for 23 years before I moved back home to Wyoming, where I live now. But anyway, I can put a link in the chat, or you can also go to my Facebook page. I need to just let you know, it's not a multi-level company, and I hate that they have to do this, but it's a network marketing company. So you can either just buy it straight out retail, or you can sign up under me or somebody else and buy it for the wholesale. And you got 90 days. If you don't like it, you can send it back. They'll give you all your money back. So I've never seen anyone do that. It's just fantastic stuff.
What's the link in there, Jess?
I'll put the link in the chat. But my Facebook page is it's Jesse Field Call. So I'm the only Jesse Field Call out there.
Is there protein with the powder? Is it like a protein drink as well, or no? It's just all
you can get a protein. There is a protein product that has these same nutrients in it. I don't take that anymore. I just do the 2 Micro Daily for the body, the physiology, and the brain boost for the brain. But it's not that expensive.
So it comes in packets, so you would take like 1 packet and mix it with juice or milk or smoothie or something like that?
It's already sweetened, so I just put it in water. I think if you put it in anything sweet, it'd be way too sweet.
Or milk or yogurt or something like that.
Yeah, you can do that. Try it in water, and then you can decide whether or not you want to put it in something else. But the powder version is called Micro Daily Hydro. And you can see it on their website. I'll put a link in here.
I used to drink. Kashi used to make a powder and it was real good. It was plant-based, but they don't make it anymore. All they make is Kashi Go bars, which are really good. Just for general nutrition, they're really good. I work at Amazon plus a grocery store, so I kind of eat a lot of that stuff because I don't have much time. So
yeah,
those
I've had
powders
those. Are
sound
really
good. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, you bet.
I notice a big difference when I eat seaweed. It seems to balance me out for some reason, and I guess there's natural ingredients in there that that are probably being stripped in processing. But I'll bring up seaweed sometimes out in the ocean in some of my traps, if I'm crabbing or something, and I'll set it out on the rail for about 30 minutes in the sunshine, and it'll dry it, and then I'll eat it. And I mean, it really does. It's got some kind of natural type salts in there that just harmonizes me. And it's actually recommended to remove radiation. And I'm not sure what kind of seaweed it is, but it's beneficial. Paul Pitchford talks about it in his book, Healing Through Nutrition, and I think he actually mentions the name of the seaweed that removes radiation. So if you got any access to seaweed, by all means sprinkle a little bit on your baked potato because it's good.
I think the name of the seaweed is called Medifilin.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that word.
It's like a North Atlantic sea kelp.
I've never heard that word, Sovereign Man. Wow. What is it?
Yeah, I'll go look it up.
That's good.
Medifilin. It's a little bit of a challenge to pronounce it if you read it. I used to know a woman by the name of, she was definitely targeted. Christy. She used to have a radio program called Truth Freak. No, it wasn't Truth Frequency. Anyway, she was using that, and the Russians were using that, the Medifilin to how do you say, combat or offset or to abate, mitigate, ameliorate the radiation from Chernobyl.
Right.
So I'll go look it up, and I'll drop a link in the chat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's different schools of thought on kelp, and there's a difference between that and algae, I guess. And I don't really know the differences yet enough to be able to speak about it, but I do take an iodine. It's really a kelp supplement because of the iodine. That's the other thing. That's something extra I take, but I consider it more like a food than an herbal supplement because herbs, I'm sure all you know this anyway, but not to be too redundant, but herbs, unless you have a real targeted ailment, anything too much or for any long period of time can actually be harmful. And I've had some bad experiences with herbs, so you got to be really careful. So I just try to stick with what my body needs, and then if I have to be specific about an ailment of something that I want to try, I'll try an herbal supplement. But something like seaweed, they're not seaweed, but the kelp, depending on the strain, I treat it more like a food, so.
My mom likes seaweed.
Yeah.
Buy it at like Whole Foods.
Well, yeah, I wonder about the thyroid. Your thyroid, the fuel that feeds your thyroid is made from iodine and L-tyrosine, which is an amino. So that's how you make T3 and T4 with those two elements primarily. So there's others, but so it's always good to eat, to find good sources of tyrosine from protein and then the iodine. So because that's, once again, another issue I think with our energies. You know, plus we're inundated with all the EMF smog too. Not to mention the deliberate targeting. You know, the deliberate technology. So.
Tyrosine is in seaweed?
No, tyrosine is in protein, and iodine is in the seaweed or kelp. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tyrosine's in turkey too, isn't it?
That's high. Well, it's always. I think tyrosine, the protein, you know, blocks are all the aminos are in a lot of the proteins, but the heavier turkey is always renowned for the tryptophan. That's why you always feel tired.
Right.
Yeah, L-tryptophan, and yeah, and then tyrosine I think is in a lot of the cow, so dairy, like cottage cheese, beef.
Good for your dopamine to feel better.
Yeah, dopamine, right. You got to be careful with the tyrosine supplements, though. Tyrosine supplements, I do not recommend, other than what naturally occurs, or they piggyback in a multi is okay, but a supplement. When I did research years and like I'm telling you thousands of dollars, I did research in nutrition because I thought something was wrong with me, and it was it was probably being the targeting. So I bought some really good books, and I literally used a book called Prescriptions for Nutritional Healing, which is like you could look up an ailment, and they will give you the sheet list of what vitamins and nutrients to take. And like that's where I learned about high blood pressure. And these were doctors that wrote these books, naturopaths and such. And so that was that's a really good book. I read Orthomolecular Nutrition, which is Linus Pauling, and he's the big vitamin C push, which I didn't put on my list, which should have been on my list. That was the one I forgot. So, they're all essential, and we need to take I call that the basic list of what we need extra of, no matter how good we're eating. I just don't think because of the targeting and the tertiary or the side effects, if you will, of it, wearing on our systems, our body systems. And magnesium is a big one. And the potassium, because my heart was proof of that. My heart I shouldn't have palpitations on the diet I have, and I was. And when I included those nutrients, the palpitations improved. I don't even have them anymore, and they used to be strong enough to knock the wind out of me, So after I discovered the program, I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense, So,
soy lecithin is another important supplement to have.
What's it called?
What is that?
Soy lecithin.
Soy lecithin.
Yeah, it's in a lot of foods like granola bars. I mean, if you look on the ingredients, you'll see that ingredient quite often. It's like a vegetable, a concentrated vegetable oil.
It's in a lot of bars that you eat, the to-go bars.
It coats the nerves, the myelin sheath.
Yes.
And so it can be bought, but in the last few years they've been getting it from other sources, from other flowers or vegetables than sunflower. I like the sunflower soy lecithin capsules. They've always been best, and so it's got linoleic acid in it, and the body's got to have that. But I put it on my oatmeal. I've had it off and on all throughout the years, and that's what it is. It's like a concentrated capsule of vegetable oil that our body needs, and it's just kind of plain tasting naturally, but it's very good for the nerves.
It's in a lot of, I should have said, protein bars. Like I eat balanced bars.
It's in candy bars.
It's got that in it.
I think it's in bread. I mean, it's in about everything. It's because it's got necessary nutrients that the body has to have.
Chobani came out with their yogurt, and they came out with Chobani Complete, which has the amino acids They have a drink, and they have, Chobani makes a lot of stuff. They make oatmeal milk and everything. But just in the last month, I've been buying Chobani Complete yogurts. They're about $1 a piece. A little expensive, but I feel better. They've got a lot of amino acids. They've got protein, 15 grams of protein in a cup. They're really, really good. If you like yogurt, I would get them. Highly recommend them.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, go to the grocery store.
Do you have one that you can read the ingredients on it?
Yeah, I'll go in the fridge right now.
That'd be great.
They're awesome.
I was listening to.
I'll be right back.
Oh, what's her name? Betty. She's the woman. There was a program with her on. I can't remember her last name. I'm trying to work those 2 brain cells I got left. Yeah, Betty.
White.
She speaks on like the dangers of aspartic acid. The aspartame, and now they're labeling it as natural flavor and spice under the same thing that they put the MSG under.
Wow.
So I'm curious, does it have natural flavor in it or anything like that?
I don't know. It's always interesting to me. I discovered years ago when remember in the 80s, they dropped the saccharin and they reinvented with, I think it was NutraSweet family of aspartame. Yep. And then it became phenylalanine or something else. And then it was one other thing later.
I used to love chewing gum as a dentifrice, but I can't do it anymore because all of it's poison. It says
exactly. Oh my gosh, that's the same thing. I was a gum source, and I had to stop.
Let him finish.
You can find natural gum. Like at the health food stores. It's a little pricey, but you can still have that experience again.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's poison. If it says contains what is it, phytoketonutrix in it, or like, oh, that's like a red flag right there.
Phytoketonutrix. I'm actually allergic to all of them. Every single one of them, except the erythritol, the new one that's on the scene, the Truvia with the stevia. I tolerate that fine, which tells me, because it's just a sugar alcohol. But I actually get a contact when I eat aspartame or any of those. My skin freaks out, so I have to be really careful. That's why I couldn't chew the gum. But Scylla, were you continuing on? I think I missed the ending of that last part of your point. Scylla? Did she go? Did she disappear?
That's the one that went to the refrigerator.
Maybe she's having one as we speak.
There she is. Hello. Anyway,
one of the best books out, again, is Healing with Whole Foods. It's the best nutritional book I've ever seen in my life. I read a bunch of them. But it's by this guy named Paul Pitchford. It's about 750 pages. And it's Asian traditions and modern nutrition. Very simple language. It's got herbs in there and everything anyone wants to know about nutrition is in this book. So
what's it called?
Healing with Whole Foods. And it can be bought secondhand. They say it's secondhand. The one I got was new. I got it from Thrift Books. I think it cost like $5, and it's an excellent reference book for nutrition, healing with whole foods, all kinds of information in it.
Well, thanks for that.
Oops, sorry.
Go ahead. Hi, Scylla, you're back.
I got the Chobani complete. I like key lime. That's my favorite. And right on the front, all natural ingredients, lactose free, added sugars 0, soluble fiber 3 grams, protein 15 grams, prebiotic, probiotic, whatever it is. I'm starting to need glasses. Small lettering. Yeah, I'm 48 and a half, so.
Oh, right about now.
Got to get that carrot flavored one.
Right.
What's the ingredients?
Yeah, what's the
And
ingredients?
then it has 20 amino acids, lactose free. The ingredients: cultured low-fat milk, water, chicory root, key lime, natural flavors, monk fruit extract, stevia leaf extract. I don't know if you can have stevia.
Yeah, stevia is good. Stevia is an all-natural sweetener made from stevia leaf. So it's just dried out and ground down, or whatever the process is. But it's one of the few sweeteners I can actually eat safely.
And then it also has spirulina extract, turmeric for color, fruit pectin, locust bead gum, lemon juice concentrate, 6 live active cultures, bifidus, acidophilus, you know all those.
Yeah.
But it's real good. I mean, 20 amino acids. When I take this, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, the protein.
Give them a call and ask them what that natural flavor is. They'll tell you it's a proprietary ingredient.
Yeah.
So what do you think it is? Is it the lime?
A big secret.
No.
Fake stuff?
Yep, it is a secret ingredient. And did you know that aspartame is manufactured from the fecal matter of bacteria?
Yeah, aspartame and phenylalanine.
Yeah, phenylalanine. Now they've redesigned it, and they call it now Nutra Amino Sweet, and it does not need to be included in the ingredients. They're even putting it in organic food.
Wow. Well,
yeah, the woman's name is Betty Martini. You can look her up. She actually, I believe that she is a doctor, but she was affected by the NutraSweet. She has a testimony about it.
Huh. My only caution that from all my experience studying the vitamin part of nutrients for as long as I did, the only caution, there's a few of them, and that's the caution with herbal supplements. Treat them like medicine. Because you can have serious side effects. I don't care how often they use the word it's all natural. It can be, but that's probably a given. And then the other thing I would, out of trial and error, because I learned not to mess with isolated amino acids in a supplement form. Because what happens is they compete. Aminos are different, and they compete with one another somehow in what you need. And they all turn into, they're all precursors. They're the building blocks, the fundamental building blocks of all the precursors and the hormones and all those things that get broken down. And when you have an imbalance, for example, of L-tyrosine, that's too much dopamine. And too much dopamine is the underlying problem for anybody with any kind of profound organic mental illness. So they're having a hard time keeping the toxic buildup out of of actual byproducts, the waste products of those chemicals. So if you have too much adrenaline, it breaks down into adrenochrome, and adrenochrome will toxify the brain tissue. And so the side effects as well from dopamine, having too much dopamine, the byproduct of that as well. And niacin is the only nutrient that can break the blood-brain barrier and go in and clean the brain out. And so it's really critical to be very careful with any isolated aminos or any amino supplements. I wouldn't do them I would just do you get enough in an egg or two a day, or, protein sources. You get plenty of amino acids, or other sources like Scylla mentioned with the protein yogurt, because then your body's going to naturally assimilate them, and you're not going to get the imbalance of aminos. So you can get an imbalance of aminos really quickly, and it's not good. So it's the same because, like the magnesium is the new buzzword, so to speak, or then turmeric or curcumin. There's, every year there will be a different one, and at one time they were the aminos, and you just got to be really careful. From my experience, that's what I've learned. And I used to take them as first singularly, then multiple. They would do a multi-version of an amino, and I don't do those anymore either. So I get enough in my diet,
So do you think that the body's complete? Like, I know you're not giving out medical advice, but maybe just one a day is plenty then.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to overdo anything. If you can tolerate. I mean, some people can't do the lactose, too, so. But,
no, that's lactose-free, the Chobani Complete.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So I think it depends on the person, if they even like the yogurt.
Right.
But I would think that's a good way to get some aminos, especially if you're a vegetarian or, of certain types, they eat yogurt. And that's probably a really good way for them to get enough protein, And I'm not sure what the limits are in protein intakes, but
it's about 30 for a woman like me who's 5'4", at about 140 pounds. I'm supposed to have at least 30, but probably more is probably a little bit better because the way I work a lot at, labor and stuff. So 20 grams of fat I'm supposed to have the max, and then 30 to 40 grams of protein at 5'4", at 140 pounds.
Yeah.
So depending on, give or take. The fat's really easy to get to. It's the protein can be difficult.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful of your morning coffee. You put, creamer in. There's like 10 grams, 5 grams of fat. But
yeah, there's all kinds of thinking that different thinking on that now. I think as time's gone on, there's a lot more awareness or acceptance in the medical community of the differences between body types. I still think that's very relevant, and what's good for one person might not be good for another person. And I really believe that if you're a vegetarian and you're a vegetarian not for conscience reasons, that you do it because you just feel better if you don't eat meat. Some people just don't feel good. I think that's a body type issue. I, on the other hand, I've tried to be a vegetarian, and it didn't do very well for me. I felt weak all of the time, and I've done every kind of eating plan known to man, and I'm actually really doing very well. I've struggled with my weight for many, many years, so I do keto, which is quite different from anything you've ever heard of, and I love it. And it's my lifestyle now. It's been my lifestyle for over a year, and I've lost 100 pounds. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. And it took I hit the 100-pound mark about a month ago or so, and doing well, But I kind of plateaued, and I think it's the change in the weather and my metabolism. I mean, I'm 50, so everything's slowing down. But
how tall are you? May I ask?
Oh, I am almost 5'7", 5'6.5", 5'7", something like that. So
you should eat a Twinkie a day.
Oh my gosh, I would wake up so sore. Everything would ache. I don't even.
Maybe some pizza too once in a while, if you can. You eat pizza.
Pizza? Oh, that's If I want to cheat, if I'm allowed to have a cheat day, it usually used to be Sundays, and I'll do pizza. We have a pretty good. Yeah.
You said you weigh about 100 pounds?
No, I lost 100 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's good. It's a good thing.
It is, I guess. Yeah, whatever, however. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me years to figure out.
100 pounds. I'm like, 100 pounds at 5'8". I'm like, well, people go through stuff, whatever.
Oh, I wish I weighed 100 pounds at 5'7". No, I lost 100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And
that's tough. Good. Congratulations.
Yeah, I changed my. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of work, but it's an amazing lifestyle change, and I love it. So I'm really excited that I found it, and I'm one of those people that have to eat a quarter of what typical people eat, and have to work out twice as hard, and I still don't lose weight. So it turns out I have a major carbohydrate intolerance. So sure enough, I found a naval document of like 100 I think it's 106 pages that lists all the side effects, and it was classified. It's a classified document, and it was declassified at some point, and it lists all the side effects to this technology. And I have it somewhere. I can maybe dig it up and put it in the chat. And on there is a carbohydrate intolerance, that you can't process carbs. So I'm thinking, I've gone a whole year in my life without eating bread. I'm not kidding, like not one slice. So because I'm so carbohydrate intolerant, but keto kind of boosted it a little bit. So, but anyway, so.
Hey, Lily.
Hey.
It's Jesse again. I just love listening to your voice. I get hypnotized after a while. I start to nod out, even when I'm not tired. It's like I go into a meditative state. That's a nice voice you got there. Thank you for that. But
I'm not sure that's good, Jesse. I don't know.
My eyes popped open again when you were talking about the carbohydrate stuff, and I would love to see that classified document and learn more about that. One of the things that I have had issues with throughout my life is carbohydrate and sugar intolerance and stuff like that. And I've done quite a bit of healing and self-healing and emotional management work and all that kind of stuff. But so when I started taking the Micro Daily, it's one of the things that it did for me, and it does for a lot of people, is it literally regulates your blood sugar. If it's high, it'll feed your pancreas and the organs that help to regulate that, including the neurotransmitters in your brain, and it just brings it down to a normal level. So I used to be like 180 at 5'6", right? And I work out. I've got a little bit of bulk on me, but I went down to 147 and stayed there. And pretty much no matter what I eat, I can gain 5 or lose 5. Well, I don't lose 5, but I can gain 5. I can fluctuate between 147 and 153 or something like that. But I've just stayed the same for the last, since 2018, for about 2 years since I started taking this stuff. I don't think it's all just the Micro Daily. I think it has to do a lot with how I, that I do exercise, and I do try to move my body every day, whether I'm working out or just going for a walk. It all helps. But I've seen so many people lose weight and keep the weight off just by taking this stuff. So it's pretty cool. But I'd love to see that document if you have it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now. Maybe I want to make sure I got the right one. Was zoned out there. It's called The Bioeffects of Selected. Let's see. Hold on. Gosh, golly. Bioeffects of Selected Non-Lethal Weapons. And it's the Department of the Army, and it's as recent as 2006. So I've got my documents confused. I thought this was the one from the 60s. This is actually more recent. Hang on, I'm looking for the details. I want to make sure I have the right one. So go ahead and talk. I'm gonna go through this document real quick to make sure it's the right one.
Yeah, and the other thing that I don't know if other people have dealt with this, but I've had my whole life, and my mother had this, a tolerance to, an inability to properly digest fats, different kinds of fats.
Mm-hmm.
And my body has seemed to overcome the majority of that problem just in my 50s. But mostly what I do is I should always add, when I take the Micro Daily and the Brain Boost, I take fish oil at least twice a day, way before, 2 hours before, after I take the Micro Daily product. And the fish oil does a couple of things. It adds to the ability to handle stress. And I mean physiological stress, brain stress, fight or flight stress, and it also lubricates every cell and every joint, every organ in your body, and it just gives your body the capacity to handle more stress, so you don't experience stress in the same way. It can be more of a positive thing than a negative thing, at least in my life. And for me, I you know how they say stress is the enemy. It's the enemy as long as you're not processing the emotions and processing the physiological effects of the targeting or whatever is happening in my life or your life. So fish oil, all in and of itself, is excellent. But taken together with these micronutrients, it's just completely transformed my body and my ability to deal with stress on so many different levels. Did you find the document?
Yeah, I'm still looking. There's bioeffects. I have two of them, so I'm still scanning for you guys because I want to make sure. I might just do both. Hang on one sec. So yeah, boy, I don't know. Trying to find it here. Is there anybody else have ideas of what they do to fight the nutritional, any secrets that are good that we should know that you do that you found successful? I shouldn't say secrets, but nutrients.
I eat Kashi Go bars.
Do you? Yeah.
They're expensive, like 4 bars for like $6 at CVS. But I'm not the best at eating. I don't make a lot I used to, when I was with my ex, we cooked a lot. I used to cook every, 5 nights a week. Really good food. But now, macaroni and cheese, Stouffer's, Kashi Go bars, Balanced bars, Chobani yogurt complete, V8 strawberry banana juice because it's like got vegetables in it and juice, fruit.
Yeah.
I'm not. I try to get my nutrition that way, and I take multivitamin. The Kashi Go bars are pretty good though. But yeah, Jess, I was looking at your stuff. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna wait for my check and maybe get the chocolate. It's got the amino acids in it too. So I think I'll try that. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I've had both the chocolate and the vanilla, and kind of funny. One of the things that I like and didn't like about the product, just for me, because I don't process so it's got egg whites in it, and I can eat egg whites. I eat like 6 egg whites a day in the morning, but if I have egg whites in a protein mix, it just gives me the runs and makes me miserable until I get used to it, But it's also, the protein has the probiotics in it as well. So most people just really love that stuff. And when I get adjusted to it, I get really lean. I'm not really trying to get lean muscle anymore the way I used to, but it's just a fantastic product.
And that was the chocolate or the vanilla, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody ever tried? Does anybody use CBD oil? I started using CBD oil for anxiety, and that really works well too. That's the other thing I do. I forgot to mention. It's legal where I live, so it works better than any other prescription for anxiety I've ever tried.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, and I have to add this one last thing, and I'll stop talking about it. But so the Engage Global products, the Micro Daily products, they have a CBD product that's a micro. They've reformulated it and added it in. You can buy it alone, or you can buy it in with the Micro Daily patented product. So I have not tried that, so I can't give you personal experience from it.
Huh.
I haven't tried CBD either. Someone sent me one, and I didn't think it was right, so I ended up donating it, which was good. At least I didn't throw it away or anything. But
Right.
I wanted to try CBD oil. They have a marijuana shop in Northampton, Mass. That you can kind of like, it's sort of like vaping in a way, you know. And they have CBD oil like that, and you can just kind of puff on it. And they also, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I take a soft gel. So I discovered this company. They do an organically grown. It happens to be local in the regions, New England, called Sun Soil, one word. And I love their product. They're comparative to California, coming out of Colorado. All the sophisticated, even Maine groups that are producing these CBDs, these guys do it organically, and he's got a real strong ethos of not overcharging. He wants to make a living, and he wants to pay his people really well. But he gives his disclaimer, or whatever you want to call it, his creed, is that he wants to keep it affordable. So it's like compassionate affordability, which is really cool. So I feel like I've tried other products out there, and I just love this product. And I'm not trying to do product placement by any means, but it's pricey. It's about $1 a capsule, but you get 20 milligrams of CBD, and I know it's all organic. So.
Right.
That's why I like it.
You gotta be careful with CBD oil. It has to be, I think, organic, or else, I see a lot of them advertise how it's organic because it can sort of, like, in a sense, go bad or something like that. You have to be very, very careful with it.
Yeah,
What is he called again? Sun what?
Sun Soil. It's one word. SUNSOIL. It's the brand. No, I buy it online. They are online they're Vermont. They grow in Vermont.
Oh.
All organic, and they so I just really like it. Its efficacy is really good. That's why I like it. So I'm still looking for the article. Yeah, these are just ways that I cope. I mean, it helps me cope, because the anxiety can be overwhelming at times. So
I didn't know that it was an article. I found the document that was unclassified. I found the link, and it was like a 404, and then I did a search on archive.org for the link, and I came up with the document I put in the chat. But it is a 2006 document.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put. I'm trying to find this one. Specific,
anybody ever read the article with this guy Jay Coynes, who talks all about shielding and a lot of
I'm sorry. Let me redo this link.
Yeah, I really want to find this document because It's buried here on my computer. I thought I had emailed it, and apparently I didn't. So I thought it would be easy to access. Not sure where it is, but I'm still looking here. So
and there. There. See if that'll work. I forgot. It was the original link that comes up with the 404. Try the archive.org link.
Yep, that one comes up, Cyberman. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that one has the declassified stamp on it, so
okay.
I don't know if it gives it any credibility or not, but
yeah, I'm sure that this Navy document that I'm looking for there was from one of you folks, that that I got it from. So some of you guys have the best stuff,
This is a Department of the Army document, and you said that's a Department of the Navy document?
Yeah, I thought this one was a Navy one, and so I got the two confused. So
It's okay. This one's from Fort Meade, Maryland.
Oh, okay. I'm just digging through. I have all these my bookmarks and all my files saved here, so I'm just going through them. Wondering if it's a dang. So how are people feeling? I know this is the time of year for me that I start having a hard time, and it's the reality of fall into winter, and it's not necessarily the fall part. It's usually after October-ish, and I don't want to say it's the lack of sunshine. I think it's the reality that winter's here. I don't like it, and it just bugs me, and I get real bummed.
The older I get, the less cold I can tolerate.
Yeah. My bones just ache, and everything kind of just slows down. And COVID, the whole COVID thing has totally transformed everything anyway. But our behavior, whatever you want to call it, the way we function. But yeah, it's definitely difficult. This time of the year is starting to come upon us, and but anyway. Oh, I might have found it. I hope so. Downloading. I wonder if I have it in a folder, my TI folder too.
Okay.
So anyway, bummer.
Oh, did anybody ever read article?
I found it. Oh my gosh! Yay! I'm sorry, Philip. Okay, go ahead.
That's okay. No worries.
This is the one that lists. It's got tons and tons. Half of it's like all these old references. So the bulk of the document it's pretty self-explanatory. There's only like 10 or 11 pages, and then it gets into the bibliography of it all. And this was a naval document, and it lists the psychological disorders, the blood disorders, the changes, the vascular disorders, hypertension.
You can drop the document into the chat. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm just cool. Making sure I've got every, This is the heating of the organs. It talks about the changes in the physiologic function.
What's the title?
It's really easy to understand it too. And this is 1971. This is Naval Medical Research Institute's research report on the biological phenomena and effects and clinical manifestations attributed to microwave and radio frequency radiation. This is like a smoking gun. October 4, 1971, a laundry list, if you will, of the injuries. And I was astounded when I read them because they were so specific. And so I'm going to post it. Yeah, yay, I'm glad I found it. And copy. And I had this downloaded, but I'm going to re-download it before it ever disappears. I'm just going to go in my right folder.
Yeah, you can actually put the document itself into the chat. You have to upload it to the chat.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. I just wanted to make sure I had it secured before I dropped it into the chat. So, yeah. Okay, got it. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And this is the naval one that is very specific to side effects of stuff that you're constantly wondering. You know, can it cause this? Can it cause that? That kind of thing. And it's many, many pages, but most of it's like the bibliography. So of all their work. 103 pages. And only 10 are actual reportings, you know. But you'll see. So there's that. That's really cool. And then check out Sovereign Man's post. I want to share what you put in the chat. I really hope. I didn't. Gosh, golly, I'm having my computer issues today. U.S. Army microwave. Let me see if that's the second one. Or the first one that I thought it was the second. The one. Nope, it can't. It didn't come up, Sovereign Man. You posted it, but it won't show up. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other one too, which is another bioeffects. I'll post that one in the chat too for you guys. Which is the second document that is it's the 2006 bioeffects one. And I think that these are pretty specific as to what it's pretty important. This is the important stuff. The bioeffects of this one is called selected non-lethal weapons. The Department of the Army, 2006. Yeah. So I'm going to download this one, and then I want to, which I already did, I'm pretty sure. I think this one came from Richard. One of the Richards looked at this a long time ago. Pretty sure. Has anybody heard from the other Richard? There's two Richards. One Richard is pretty regular. I think you're here tonight, Richard. Hello to you. But the other Richard with the deep, deep
Richard
voice.
From Brooklyn?
Nope, he's a Richard. He's a Southern man. Super
North
deep.
Carolina.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in so long. I just wondered how he was doing.
How
he was.
Been wondering the same thing. How you doing, Richard? You on here?
Hey, one of you gentlemen, Sovereign Man or Jesse, could you just mind things for a moment? I'm going to need a minute. I got to take a little break.
Sure. Let's see if we can get Richard to perk up. He's probably sitting in his truck.
We're
Rich.
sitting up here.
It's good to hear your voice, my brother.
Well, we're just listening in and letting it roll, and who knows, might learn something along the way. That document that she was talking about, yeah, I found that thing about 3 years ago, and that's how I figured out about the vascular system and the bladder, kidneys, and all of that other stuff being destroyed by all of this stuff. And, got a lot of good information in there.
Can you order product online, Richard?
No, sir. What would you like me to have?
This micro daily stuff that helps to heal all that.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'll check it out and see what I can come up with. You never know, I might be able to pick some up.
I'll shoot you a link and a text if that's okay with you. You can, if you can get online, you can look at it, you can research it, and then if you can just get it in your body, I think it'd help you a lot. So that first document, really, that you just put in the chat, I've got that one. I'm just going to see if I can get the other one. Let's see. Wow, that looks like a link. Really, when you come back, maybe you can't hear me, but that looks like a link directly from.
Yeah, I'm in.
File source off your computer. So I may not be able to get a hold of that one. Let me see if it'll link in.
So is the apps. The one that says apps, the .dtic mil.
Yeah, I got that one.
You have a link to it? I couldn't get it.
Yeah, I got the first one that
I can't get it to load.
Yeah, it's because it's big, it's huge, and it's got to load into your RAM on your phone or your computer. It takes a minute, depending on your speed and your capacity on your device.
Yeah, my stuff is really wanking.
It's 106 pages, so it's all got to download in a PDF or load in a PDF.
What's the title on it?
Let me go look here. I have to reload it again. Hang on.
Did you save it? You download it?
Yeah, I just forwarded it to my computer. I'm just opening up. I got to go.
There you go.
First. Probably faster here. It's called Military. Oh, that's mine. Let me pull it up. Yeah, it's going to take a minute to load.
On my end, it's taking forever. Oh, there it is. I got it.
Yeah, let's pop in.
Yeah, I got it. The document is called Biography of Reported Biological Phenomenon Effects in parentheses and Clinical Manifestations Attributed to Microwave and Radio Frequency Radiation. And this does, it says, so date code on it. October 1971.
Wow.
Second printing. Yeah. We're gonna bang this down, download it right now.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a long time.
It took forever. It's only a 11.1. It's 11.1 megabyte.
It's 11
So it's
megabytes?
11. Yep.
That's pretty
okay.
Took forever. Thank
Hey,
you.
Lily.
Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you for posting that first link. The second link looks like a file maybe off of your computer. It won't load.
Okay.
On a website as a website.
Okay, then what I'll do is I'll upload the PDF. So check.
Yeah, share it like cyber herpes.
Great. Okay.
Right on, dude. Yeah. I don't know if it'll upload as a PDF on in the chat though, will it, Lily? Or are we going to do it somewhere else?
I have no idea. Will it? I don't know.
I could upload it to my MediaFire account.
You'd have to send it to Sovereign Man in an email or something.
Okay, hang on. Let me for a sec. It was the bioeffects one that didn't open right.
Yeah, the first 106-page one, the Naval Medical Research Institute one.
Yeah, copy it and paste it.
I wonder why. Copy and paste. Which one?
The last one.
The second one?
It says Mimi downloads bioeffective selected non-lethal weapons.
Okay.
But I think that did I put that in? I think that's the one I put in too. At archive.org.
Yeah, and that was a one-pager statement of the Freedom of Information Act request response, is what that was that you put in from archive.org, Sovereign Man?
No, it's a 20-page document.
Oh, I'm not seeing it. Let me try it again. Yeah, I'm only seeing one page.
Yeah, it's 20 pages. It says bioeffects of selected non-lethal weapons.
Oh, wait a sec. Okay, see now.
I don't have that.
Secret, Norfon, unclassified.
I knew what it was. That was from my sister's email. I had gotten it from her. So hang on. Let me.
Yeah.
I had sent it.
Regraded unclassified on 6 December 06.
Yeah.
By U.S. AIMSCOM.
Yeah, and that one I can't get access to. Okay. I can't pull that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it on my that I have saved in a couple places. So
hang on, I'm gonna download it and then re-upload it into the chat. How about that?
Well, can you open it? Oh, I didn't think it was anything.
Yeah, I opened it. Fine. I'll re-upload it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yeah.
I tried muting myself because I just wanted to yell for my cat to come upstairs, and I can't mute myself. So I don't know. No big deal, but just curious if you could hear. It's weird. Never done that before. Unless it's just me.
I'm gonna mute for one moment.
Okay.
Oh, I can't do it on this interface. I got to get out and come back in on my account. Okay, I'm going to lose everything.
That's what I thought you were going to run into.
And I'm back.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Lily, did you find it?
Nope. I'm still looking up. I know it's stored away somewhere, so
Boy.
did it work, Sovereign Man? Were you able to open it and repost it, or?
Sovereign Man.
I think he may have had to have log out and come back in.
I see.
Oh, there he is. He might be logging in on a different device.
Is there anybody that would like to speak that hasn't spoken tonight? Anything you want to share, just unload or vent, or anybody got a good joke? Anything you want to talk about?
I was curious, has anybody ever read about this one person?
I just want to say hi, Lily.
Hi, who's this?
Constance.
Hi, Constance. How are you doing?
I'm alive. Oh.
Welcome to the call, Constance. Were you saying something, Scylla?
Oh, yeah, I was just curious if anybody ever came across, I know people have read a lot, but I came across, I happened to look up, I think something like target individual shielding, and this guy on, his name's Jay Coyne, I guess is his last name, it's not real, but I don't know. But he talks all about shielding and just a little bit about target individualing. I don't know where he is, and it's on the Medium. He used the platform Medium, and it's pretty good. I don't know, how much is going to really work, but he was talking about that. He was talking about, I've used this and I've used that, and it's not like he's just trying to sell something. He's not like that. He seems like he's truly trying to help. At least, he's said I've used this, and he's got like examples and pictures of what he used for a hat and everything and a helmet. He goes, it doesn't look too pretty, but he goes, it works. And then he's got like a small table to put over your head to sleep at night with, I believe, silver? No, just like, it looks silver, but it's not silver. Like a big square piece of sheet metal or something. He tells what it is, and then he puts tape to keep it together and everything, and then he's kind of got like a bumper going around, his head at night on the bed. And like he said, he goes, it's not too pretty looking, but he goes, I sleep. So I'm going to be ordering all those. He tells you where you can get the products. You don't have to get them there, because I can't take it anymore personally, that's for sure. This is nuts. I get up at about 4, so the creeps woke me up at 12 o'clock last night. 12:15, 2:15. We'll just set the alarm, I guess. 12:15, 2:15, right on the dot. And then I have to get up at 4. And the creeps woke me up about 3:30. I couldn't yell out loud because I live with my mother. But I'm telling you, if you heard me yell, I would have woke up everybody where I live. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, you son of a bitch. I go, you freaking wake me up at 3:30 knowing I got to get up at 4 and go work a 10-hour day at Amazon, you son of a bitches. I said, you just freaking wait. I go, you fuckers just wait. I go, you take that gosh darn money that's so gosh darn important to you, you son of a bitches, and you just stay with the devil. You stay with him, because I'm telling you right now, you might as well move in with him, because you're not going to heaven. You're not going doing this.
They apparently don't care.
I know.
I am tortured 24 hours a day. I have had it. They've taken my hair. They have taken everything. I have fucking had it. I am crazy. Enough.
I know. I agree.
Enough.
It is.
I don't know what the hell, why they don't stop. This can't even be human. This has to be a fucking machine.
It's
on high. It's like on high torture. Maximum.
Yeah. I know. It is. That's what it is.
My heart right now is pounding outside of my chest. Pounding. And it has been doing that all day long. How much can a heart take? How much?
Is this Betty?
They are trying to kill me. They are trying to kill me. That's it.
Try not to yell, because it's going to make it worse if you can help it.
Yell?
Just try to,
God.
stay
all right.
calm if you can.
You know what? I tried that approach today. It worked for a little while, actually. It really did.
Can you get in the car and go to the local CVS to get in a ride? Because sometimes they'll knock it off if you get in the car, if you can.
No, they
want
to. Please. I've been in the car. I've taken a drive. I've been to the store.
I went all summer. I've had over 2,000 hours of high blood pressure. I know. But I'm just saying, sometimes they'll cool it a little if you get in the car.
No.
I know.
It's constant. Do you know, I took a walk. I was coming home, and as I'm I'm walking down the block, my car is parked, and as I'm walking towards my car, the headlights blink at me. Okay? I am 10 feet away from the car in front of it, and the headlights blink at me. I mean, they don't stop. They have redirected my calls. They have eliminated text messages. They're in my brother's head. This is mind control. They're perfecting it. They are perfecting mind control. Everybody around me gets hurt. Everybody. See, I'm not one of those people that people go, oh, she's a lunatic. For some reason, I'm very believable. I mean, I've been very honest my entire life, and I give that aura, okay? And, people listen to me. This is probably what's doing it, that they have not driven me, okay, to screaming. Well, I have screamed, but
I remember your story.
To insanity. But now they're trying. See, they're doing it now. They haven't done it for 13 years, but nothing else worked for them, okay? So now they're going to try to drive me insane with this noise. You remember my story, being raped by Paul O'Brien of DYN, DYN Corporation International at Ramey Air Force Base in Puerto Rico, where he inserted something in my body, or many things in my body, considering how many places that he stuck his fingers, including my ears, my mouth, my eyes, everywhere. So, DYN, okay? Did you ever read their reputation? Do you know what kind of reputation they have? Nothing but scum. They have, they call them the right hip of the CIA, okay? They do all the dirty, filthy work for the CIA. That's what they do. So the CIA can hold on to their reputation or I don't know, try to clean up their reputation, whatever it is. They are the IT people for the post office, for the DOD. You name the agency, they're the IT people. You think they aren't in my computer, in my phone, in everything, in the electrical outlets, in everything. Wherever I go, they change traffic lights. Imagine. I should wear a camera on my head. Because it's constant. It's like constant. When my lights flashed, they just flashed once. Like they just went on and off. And I'm like, what? That was the first. They never did that before. It's nonstop. And you know what? That's not going to drive me crazy that they did that. That I could laugh off. It's this freaking noise. This noise in my brain. It's nonstop. It's a drill in my head.
So,
drilling.
What can you give me an example of what you're experiencing? Is it a storyline? Is it copying what you're thinking? Are they brain mapping or recording?
It's brain mapping. They're brain mapping. They're repeating every thought that I have. They're like this noise. All right, it's like you're in the dentist's office and he's got the drill way up in your molar, all right? And it doesn't stop. Now, I don't know if other people have this and they call it tinnitus. It's not tinnitus to me. There's no ring. It's a drill. And if I shake my head, it sounds like a tuning fork. I don't know if other people can try it. Just shake your head fast, back and forth, like you were like a dog was shaking off water. It's very strange. It's this constant. I try to get online. They disconnect me, and it's over and over, and cannot make a connection to the server. It's always something. It's 1 minute at a time for 13 and a half years. 1 minute at a time.
Right.
How dare they?
It's you're right. It's very sophisticated neural weapon systems. Everybody has different types of programming, from what I can gather from all these different testimonies. And some of us, when you have repetitive information in your mind or different storylines within your mind, that the AI is so sophisticated that they can take other people that are clones from these, they're just snapshots of people, and they can nuance their personalities or traits of them and have them converse with you, so that each node, they're called nodes, meaning you within the server, or the same of other people, clone, avatar, if you will, and they're training your blueprint, if you will, so to speak, your avatar, by doing what they're doing to you. Or they're heterodyning you. If you get any kind of sexual assault, that has to do with heterodyning. So they can swing your emotions, and it's all AI, from one extreme to the next. So you get the opposition, you get the offensive game theory, you get the offensive words, the offensive behaviors, and then the sexual stuff. They'll swing it the other way, but they might encourage you if it's all kinds of things. And then it's just to heterodyne you so they can modulate you with other people's frequencies to create this hive mind and program the AI, influence other nodes, and then build your node. So it's all kinds of things, and depending on where you're at in the program of the AI stuff, when you get the repetitive, you get the same theme stuff, and it's powerful, and it's torture to the point where you just wonder how they can do this. It's not people. That's why
I'm going to tell you something. It's both. okay? And I can feel, let me put it this way, not that I know the difference, I can feel the difference.
Yeah, there are live handlers.
AI.
Absolutely. There are live handlers that check in on your particular program somewhere in an underground, base somewhere that are doing all of this. And
it's Fort Sam, right, Patterson. It's that area right there. That's where it's coming from.
Well, there's several. There's several different ones. They're the underground bases that are just off the grid, or like Cheyenne Mountain. That's a big one. There's one in Bethesda.
Well, me in particular, I'm telling you where it's coming from. Okay.
Yeah. That could be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Because, I call there often. I call there every morning when I wake up in a rage. They disconnect me. They don't even let me get through to the Air Force Base. Okay? I get disconnected, or I get the sound of a fax machine when I call a phone number. I always, whenever I make a phone call, they can't even get the ring right. They don't even space the rings. I get a double ring. Ring, 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 ring. Then there's space. But there's always a double ring, like they're redirecting the call. And what I realized today, or yesterday, this week, I'm looking back at past emails, and I see, oh, this isn't how I remember it. Now it's happening too often. Because I always give them the benefit of the doubt. All right. Oh, maybe I don't really remember. Now I used to, and I have an incredible memory. I used to print everything. But since COVID, I'm not going to the library, and I'm not printing everything. So they're changing, like communication, printed communication. They're changing words. And I'm reading it. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't remember it reading this way. And it's happening too much. They're actually changing the content. I mean, oh, my God. This is complete warfare. This is the ultimate warfare. In the beginning, I think they were trying to disclose something to me.
Have you ever? Disclose what?
I think they were disclosing in the beginning, because everything I wrote down didn't come back to me for years and years later. Like one of the things that they were conveying was hyper. Oh, Brain Train was one of the first ones I got, Brain Train. In 2015, when I first got on the calls, I asked somebody, I said, Brain Train? They were like, no, Brain Entrainment. I was like, oh, because they're saying Brain Train. Then the other thing was hyper. I'm like, are they calling me hyper? Am I hyper? No, it was hyper. It was hyper game theory. Another thing they were saying to me was Randy. I'm sorry. I had a neighbor named Randy. I'm like, what does Randy have to do with this? I would sit in front of Randy's house wondering, what the heck is Randy? This is so stupid. No, it was Rand. It was the Rand Corporation. I mean, the shit that they got across to me that I did not know what it meant at the time. I didn't know what it meant till years later.
Yeah.
Hyper. Oh, listen to this. Do you remember when Valerie Harper had cancer, and I think she wrote a book, but she was on like talk shows and everything. So Valerie, that was the other one. Valerie Harper. As soon as they said Harper, boom, I get hit in the head. Harper, I get hit fucking right in the head. Like, Harper? Or my mother said to me, she says, oh, I wonder if Aunt Josie's sister Ray is still alive. As soon as she says Ray, I get hit in the head. Oh, who is the mayor after Lindsay in New York? Oh, that was Mayor Beam. Boom, I get hit in the head. So there's Beam, there's Ray, there's Harper, which is Harp, okay? I mean, this is, I'm talking 2010, I didn't have a clue.
I just wanted to say
have
thank you, Lily, but I'm going to go to bed, and I'm sorry you had to mute me before. I forgot, but sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay, Scylla. I hope you have if you have to work tomorrow, I hope you get enough sleep.
I will.
Rest
well.
well.
You all. Bye-bye.
You too, Scylla. Bye-bye. Good night.
And I think why I'm so angry right now, I mean, one of the other things they were doing was they were calling me hothead, okay? Hothead. And I was like, yeah, when I get mad, I have a hot head. Yeah, I really am a hothead. I didn't know they meant literally. My scalp is on fire. It's on fire. My forehead is burning. My scalp is on fire.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My hair is falling out like just, my God, I can't believe I'm not bald yet.
I know. I have that same problem. Yeah. I'm really sorry. It's the greatest crimes against humanity in history. I really believe that, and that's what we're experiencing. And it's the programming and the development of neural weapon systems to be used further in all kinds of applications, but primarily to social engineer. They're building this global programmed artificial intelligence to rule the world with. I believe that. And, it might have different sections. It might be broken up in, different hemispheres of the earth. Who knows who controls which ones, But ultimately, I also, I recently had a conversation with a scientist about this, that asking questions if it's possible. He's familiar with the technology, and I asked him if it was possible that they're doing that. There's a group, and we're just going to keep the political theory out of it. So, like the deep state or the United Nations, we're just going to call it the group. So we'll say that there's this group that is at the highest level that controls all the high levels you and I associate in our minds with, which would be doing this. So like the CIA or the FBI or the NSA, and not that they're not doing this and the military is not involved, of course they are. But there's another group that is kind of like the holder of it all, that is gleaning from all the lower levels, if you will. And controlling the artificial intelligence and programming it. And he said it's possible. So, we can point and say it's them and it's them, or it's this and it's that. And ultimately, what I think it all sugars off to be is this really sophisticated weapon system that is going to be in the hands of all the major governments. We already know they have it, so obviously it's that. But it just smacks so strongly of divine revenge that, because it's so outrageous and it's so arrogant of them to think they're going to get away with it, So that's the only way. I have to go to the ultimate, because this has taken also 26 years of my life too, and it's the only conclusion I could come up with. And the only other conclusion I can come up with is, along with this upper, whatever you want to call it, the ultimate power group involved in this, is I couldn't for the longest time come up with a justification or motive strong enough to justify, even for the good of humanity. This is so sadistic, and they have bought into the philosophy that this is going to be good for humanity. Whatever it is, the philosophy behind the neural weapon systems and power, we can call it power, control, money, and all those things. They're doing it for money or whatever. But ultimately, there's a philosophy that's driving them that they think is good. It's going to be the ultimate. And the only thing I could come up with, this happened a couple of weeks ago, that I also talked to the scientist about, was they think they have divine backing to do this. That is, I really don't, I can speak religion, but I really don't want to talk religion. What I'd rather talk about is what somebody with power who has a religious or you can call it whatever you want, spiritual, but thinking that they have the right of divine, whatever, jurisdiction, if you will, to give them permission to do something like this. And they don't. And they don't have the right, they're doing it like, we know some real powerful people who in American history who have used words like New World Order just as recently, the Bushes, George Sr. coined the phrase. Well, guess what? Those guys believed that they have divine backing. There's a really strong thread of Judeo-Christendom within the United States government that thinks they have to act on behalf of what? Second coming of Christ kind of thinking. You've got to think like they think that are behind these agencies. And then filter that, onto the entitlement issue of rulership and then thinking it's God's will. And those are the most dangerous people to me. Those are the people, it's the same thing like the Crusades. People who burn people at the stake. They think they have divine right to do this. Or do those things. Nobody has the right to do the Crusades. Nobody has the right to burn witches at the stake because they use medicines in the woods or whatever the stereotype is. It's just a bunch of crap. It's all false religious propaganda of fear-mongering, war-mongering for the system, to shape villages, communities, societies with their false religious theories. And it's caused the blood that is on the hands of these humans, if you want to speak scripture, the Revelation says it goes clear up to the heavens. Their blood guilt is so profound. So there will be, I believe in what the scriptures say, so there will be divine retribution. It's just I have to be patient enough to get through this. So it's really powerful what they're doing, and what they're doing is illegal both in human terms and God's terms, because he certainly wouldn't allow this. And we won't get into the whole allowance of it things, but he certainly doesn't cause it. He certainly doesn't approve of it. And the fact that it's being allowed right now is temporary. So you're right. There will be. Well,
the way I see it is there have been these atrocities since man was created. I mean, look at the way Jesus was crucified. I mean, look at that brutal. It's always been this way, but even though we know about it, we read about it, we studied it, we didn't experience it. So I would say that would be like sitting in an AA meeting. Like if I get drunk, I vomit. I mean, I don't know what it's like. So what kind of empathy would I have? I could only have so much empathy sitting there and listening, but I really wouldn't know, really. Just like others wouldn't know what we are experiencing. They may listen, they may have empathy, they may say that's awful, but they still wouldn't feel it. Okay.
So there's this is a really good point that you're bringing up right here. I have discovered that the only people on the planet that will ever understand our story is each other. This is such an internal, personal, narrow level of experience to be assaulted from the inside out. And a raking, if you will, of the inner heartstrings to the level that this AI system and the handlers have developed. And I call them, the AI builders are, it's just another form of a god. That really ultimately is what this AI system is doing. And what's interesting is you don't even have to be very religious or spiritual to understand the idea that prior to this technology. So we'll go as far back as 1940. So pre-1940, even though there were probably plans in place to develop the League of Nations, which then turned into the United Nations. So for one world, government issues. But so prior to that, humans had, if they were out of the reach of the powers that be where they lived, so they weren't a direct slave to the system of back in the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, we know immediately there's different kinds of slavery then. But I'm talking about the people that just didn't live their lives. And God himself has never historically stolen the free will of humans from the inside out. Free will is a gift. And the fact that this weapon system overrides even what God himself would do. So you don't have to be really religious to know free will.
So against nature.
It is.
So against
which is against the law of God. If it's against nature on this human level of cellular, emotional, heartstring, wants and not wanting, and the way they're programming you and abusing us and thinking they're going to get away with it, anybody that has their hands or their fingertips in this cookie jar, I have to yield because I don't. Then you're talking judgy. That gets judgy. And people often say, "Oh, you shouldn't judge others for smoking or drinking or whatever." That's not really judging. I'm being more critical. Judgment. Whenever you hear somebody say you shouldn't judge your neighbor or whatever, judging really is about, if you want to speak in biblical or where that trickles from, is by saying you're going to a burning hell, which I don't believe in, by the way. I don't believe in a burning hell, but I'm just saying, if the Catholics used to say, meaning the Catholic hierarchy would say you're going to go to a burning hell if you're whatever. Okay, that's a judgment. So a judgment, biblically speaking, saying, you're gonna be damned to hell for doing this neuroweapon system. So I have to that. Whereas or saying I just don't want to be friends with her because she's got extreme moral flexibility and would be a bad influence on my family. That's still not being judgy. That's being critical. So you got to be careful with the whole judgment, thing. So I have to be careful with their hands in the cookie jar and saying, okay, I don't have the right to say the judgment upon these people, but I can make natural conclusions that this is the greatest evil ever, and that I am sure God himself is watching exactly what they're doing, and it's going to call into mind, his judgment, and hopefully soon we'll have some type of divine intervention, and these people will understand his wrath, and he has intervened in the past. And just because he hasn't, or you don't know in the ways he has, doesn't mean he won't. And I feel, I've always been a kind of a barometer for change. And I really feel that change is coming. And, it's getting to the point where they are so brazen and they are expanding these programs. And
that's it. And they're becoming more and more and more brazen. It's like they don't even try to hide it anymore. Because now why? Why is that? People are just numb. They're numb.
There's a couple things going on that are almost like a phenomenon, and this is my opinion. I believe if you forget the whole artificial intelligence, all the targeting, all that we experience, set that aside for a moment. If you could recall a time before cell phones showed up, 2000, the year 2000, I got my first cell phone. I was a student and wanted my sons, I have two sons, I wanted them to be able to contact me at all times. So I think that's when I got my first cell phone. And I noticed from that point on, my energy level, just my thinking ability and my energy level was messed with. And it wasn't necessarily because of the neuroweapon systems. I think it's just because of what the cell phones themselves, are composed of, that EMF stuff. Not to mention the piggybacking signals. So I think that there has been a draining of physical energy, if you will, that's very much attached to the energy that has been introduced through cell phones. That's on the neuroweapon systems piggybacking. Just the smog from a cell phone, I think, messes with the bioelectricity of a human much more than any study has ever concluded because they've varied those studies or not performed the studies. Listen, they have varied even just this. In fact, there aren't really any 5G studies unless they've been independent from all of the organizations that support 5G. So historically, all of the phone testing, I think cell phones are the number one enemy to humankind on a normal level, not to mention the neural weapon systems being bigger than that. But if you notice on Facebook or any other social media that you have access to, if you look at the so-called third world countries and you look at the villages and there's a little elephant stuck in a well or they captured a crocodile, we're talking third world, village people, they all have cell phones.
Cell phones, I know.
Yeah. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason they all have cell phones. And it's to pick now. Now I think it's for direct energy weapons, and they can piggyback on the signals, and they're going to work on everybody's brains through the AI to social engineer. They're going to pattern everybody. They probably have servers miles long under these but Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine bases that are buried under mountains. They've got underground servers. And
I'm going to tell you, not that they will, they did, okay?
Yeah.
They did. They have almost completed, and that's why I think they're so brazen, because I believe that they have completed their brain control. I have seen things recently that I feel as if I am in a horror movie, all right, around people who are actors in a horror movie, and I'm the only one that's like, wait, no. Look behind you. That's where the monster is. It's just like they're taking over. They're possessed.
Well, they're.
Hey, Lily.
Yeah,
Lily.
Yeah.
This is Jesse again. I've been listening to you guys, and ma'am, I feel your pain. I've listened to your story before, and I can still relate with quite a lot of it. I was never involved with the CIA people directly, but I gave testimony against the FBI, let's call them federal agents, 23 years ago, and that's when my life got turned upside down. So I have experience with some of what you're talking about, and I can tell you one of the creative ways that I've learned to deal with it, and I can give you just a short story here, a quick example that happened not too long ago. Dick Cheney, who we all know and believe, I personally believe he was involved in allowing and maybe perpetrating the whole 9/11 thing, and then the Patriot Act was signed, and then all this shit started with a lot of us.
So do I.
So Mr. Cheney lives about 65 miles away from my house.
I remember you saying that, and you drove there?
Yeah, I drove there, but I didn't drive there before having about 7 bottles of wine in 5 days. And listen, I really didn't know for sure what I was going to do. It just popped into my mind.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just go back real quick. Last 2019, about July 25th in Las Vegas, I was injected with something that may have been AI-related nanotech. We don't know for sure yet. But what I do know is I've had some strange things happen since then. One of the things that's happened is my temperature, my body temperature has been irregular around, 100 degrees, 101, and it just stays there. Right? And you know how go into these dream states, like when you have a flu and you start to fall asleep and you have these really intense, strange dreams?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's kind of the state of mind, this like hypnotic state of mind that I've been in and out quite a bit since then. So it hasn't been all bad, because there's things that you can access in your consciousness that you can't access, when you're in a normal state of consciousness. Anyway, so fast forward again, just a few weeks ago, I called the Jackson Hole Police Department to try to get his phone number, right? And this is kind of one of these things that I do when I'm just hurting and angry and I'm just going to freaking knock the shit out of somebody. I decide to shift that energy into what can I do that's creative and fun and that might be, entertaining for other people as well. So I called the Jackson Hole Police Department, And I talked to this guy. I won't use his real name. I'll just use his name. I'll just use Kevin. Talk to Kevin. Kevin's like, he's got to vet me now because he's wondering if I'm going to be a danger to Mr. Cheney or anybody else. So he finally figures out, no, I'm just having a conversation, and I'm just trying to get his phone number, right? So I got two goals here. I want to just meet Cheney, look him in the eye, and say, just ask him personally. So did you have anything to do with 9/11? What's your side of the story? Because we've heard all these things. I've never actually heard him say anything really about it directly.
It sounds crazy.
And that's the first thing I wanted to do. And the second thing, we got great fishing down here in Wyoming, so I wanted to see if you wanted to go fishing, you know. He's probably a good fisherman. So anyway, so I drive up there, and I didn't know where he lived directly, but I've got a friend that I grew up with he grew up in a deep state family. He's a great guy. We're trying to pull him over to the white hat, the good side. Anyway, I built a relationship with him over time, and I called him because his name, I won't use his real name. His name, we'll call him Jim. But, so I called him, left a message with him because he knows where Dick lives, and his kids go to school with Dick's grandkids in the same private school up in Jackson. So anyway, he didn't call me back in time, but kind of a funny thing, I knew kind of the general area. He lives in a place called Teton Village by Jackson. Teton Village is a place where I grew up skiing when I was a kid. So I ended up driving directly to his house. How I knew where he lived, I don't know. Maybe it's the AI in reverse. I don't know. I screwed up in reverse again. So anyway, so I roll in there, and it's not even a gated community. It's open, and I will use his real name. Larry is the security guard, and I think I still got his phone number. And I didn't want to get too close to him, so I just kind of drove in over the speed bump, and I look over at Larry, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I just waved at him, smiled. He was like, hey, how you doing? You know. So I drive in, and there's a couple of neighbors that were walking, and one lady, she's about 75 years old with bright red lipstick, walking her little poodle, and I stopped and I said, hey, where does Dick live? It was funny. She goes, why, are you going to shoot him? Response. So we both had a good laugh about that. And she gave me, some kind of general directions, and I had to stop and ask a couple other people to get his exact address. And I can tell you guys, thank God he wasn't home. He was actually back in D.C. visiting Liz and her kids. Liz Cheney's his daughter, excuse me. Did I say her?
Yeah, I know. Doesn't she work for Raytheon, or she's on the board?
She
Did you ever
might.
look her up?
I know she's a
one of the big ones. She's on the board for one of the contractors, one of the military contractors.
I'll have to look that up. But anyway, I never got to meet Dick. But anyway, so I'm driving back home, and I hit every bar on the way back, and my deep state friend calls me back, and we have a conversation, and he asked me, where are you living now, and I give him my address. And so I get home, and believe me, I lock my doors. I got two animals. I got a cat and a little deerhead chihuahua that are my certified service animals that I keep around. That's the only thing I really care about. But I roll into my house, and my front door is wide open.
Really?
Now, oh yeah, this is the kind of thing, this is one of the modus operandis that they do with me, and I'm used to it. It's happened for 20-something years, so I get it. And so I immediately get on the phone with the sheriff's department, and I will use his real name, John O'Connor, because he's a frickin' cool guy. He comes out, and he's fast. These guys are so we're all friends here in the valley where I live. So anyway, he comes out, and I meet him at the road. I didn't clean anything, move anything, and I got wine bottles laying all over the freaking house. It's just a fucking disaster, but I don't care. I want it to be, the way it was when I walked in the house. So anyway, I'm like, John, how you doing? How's the family? Everybody okay? The small talk, and then we walk in the house, and I said, this is how it was when I walked in or walked up the steps. Doors wide open. He's like, well, is there anything missing? I'm like, no, I haven't even checked yet. My animals are fine, but I still got my computers are just sitting there, and they didn't touch a thing. They just opened my door. Now, I got a camera that's in the house, but it doesn't always work right, and I checked the footage, nothing. Like, it's blank. So I don't know how they did that. It's not the first time they've done that. But
anything electronic can be tampered with.
Yeah, and it's just an enclosed DVR camera, and somehow they wiped the footage off of there. But anyway, the cool thing about it is that, by the time John and I were done talking in my living room, he's about laughing his ass off, rolling on the floor. He thinks this shit's so funny. But I did make a point to just make sure, John, do a report. Just make sure and do a report. And he did, and that's the end of the story. I mean, I can tell you that for the next 5-7 days after that, I had compasses going wild in my house. The EMF frequencies, I was hit so frickin' microwaved, I assume. I was hit pretty hard, but it didn't last. And and that's just I do those kinds of things every once in a while, just because I can't take it anymore, and I got to get out of my skin, and I got to do something creative and fun, and so it's not destructive, it's just alchemizing that energy into something that's better than it was, at least. So anyway, I don't know if that.
I haven't always been this angry, okay, but they haven't tortured me this much. I guess they mistook it for cooperation on my part, which I was. I was trying to like I said, brandy, all these words. I was writing them down. I'm looking at them. I'm studying them. I'm trying. But see, I didn't have this noise in my head at the time either. And one of the messages that was coming through was, take the wax out of your ears. Now, I don't know what the hell they mean by that. Take the wax out of your ears. Apparently, there was something that I was doing that was blocking them, all right? I think I know what it is. But suddenly, things started disappearing off the shelves like my usual staples, all right? I've always been into health foods. I've always been a health fanatic. Not that I don't eat, like, mountains of chocolate. I do. But, I also eat pots of greens. So,
say that again. You eat what?
Mountains of chocolate.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But then I eat like mountains of greens and vegetables. So you know what I mean. And it's so suddenly, like, one of the things that was a staple in my diet, and I got to love it, and I put it on everything, and it was brewer's yeast. Now, brewer's yeast tastes awful. Okay, if you could just go out and you buy that yellow brewer's yeast, it is disgusting. But this was Lewis's brand, okay, Lewis's Lab, Lewis, Lab brewer's yeast. And suddenly, I go to the health food store, and it doesn't exist anymore. It's off the shelves. Now, I was looking for it for years. I was, going on the website of the company, and I finally found, and I don't know where I found it, but why they didn't make it anymore. Because they had this pristine land in Asia, and someone came along and bought it. They couldn't grow it anymore. All right. The brewer's yeast was brand. It was toasted. It was like, I can't even explain, but it was actually delicious. And that wasn't the only thing. Everything, and I was very big on bee products. I worked with, and this is what I think it was, I worked with the beekeeper of New York City, the master beekeeper, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, so I had the best of everything a bee can produce. Suddenly, at that time, I was then sending away for venom. I was using bee venom. Let me just say it out. I was using bee venom. And this started, long story, I was treating people with MS, okay? And then I just started treating myself. So anyway, suddenly the it got very expensive. Not the price of bees, because beekeepers really won't charge you for bees. It's like against their ethics. But the shipping. And the shipping became outrageous. And suddenly my bees were being delivered dead, okay? And the shipping, they weren't reimbursing me because it was a live product, okay? So UPS didn't want to know. Shipping was crazy, outrageous. I couldn't afford it. Plus, they were making sure they kept me nice and poor, all right? They were keeping me broke. The jobs, everything. I went on an interview. I got a job. They were like, you got the job. They were telling me. Suddenly, I didn't have the job. I was like, why is everybody telling me that, they hired me when they didn't? No, they were in everything I did. So anyway.
I can relate with that whole.
They were taking things out because of this. Okay, because of this beam or maser. The other message that I was getting was I thought it was mesa. Now, my sister-in-law lived we were very close, actually not by law, but the man that I was with, his sister, were very close friends. She was in Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, and they kept saying maser, and it was actually maser. And maser is a laser, okay? It's a gas laser. So whatever
gotcha.
I had
are you hearing
in
this via? Can I ask you? Are you hearing this via V2K or subliminal?
It's hard to explain, but let me just say it's subliminal, okay?
Okay.
It's subliminal, and it's also in other forms. Like if somebody's talking, if the TV's on, if the radio's on, they'll pick certain words or phrases, not the whole conversation, just what they want to get. And it's out of context, of course, when it gets delivered to me. But I will get hit in the head, okay, when, like, I don't know, you could say spooky nookie or, something silly, just in a sentence. But those two words, if they want me to know those two words, they're going to hit me in the head just as you're saying them. So that's another way that they communicate. There's a few ways that more than a few ways to communicate. But, yeah. So they eliminated this stuff from my diet, from my, from my lifestyle, and then the ringing. The drilling started in my head. And once the drilling started.
I know exactly, well, I shouldn't say I know exactly. I know what I experienced when you said drilling. So I get that, especially after I'm dozing off and I've had a few hours of so-called sleep, and I wake up, and I probably made it down into theta, but I rarely get into delta unless I do meditation and heart math exercises during the day. But once my body tries to relax, there's something about that relaxed theta state that seems to be primary or very helpful for them to, if that's what's happening, to get that just buzzing, drilling, and it's freaking intense. So, once that starts happening.
See, I used to think that it was REM because they would only do it at night. But it's not, because if I doze off for 1 minute it takes, okay, it'll start. So when you're just relaxed, beta, you're absolutely correct. And
so one thing that's helpful for me, what I've been studying lately is the magnetic fields around the Earth and how the sun, it's very, very active right now. And it's been so active, and every once in a while, you've got these group of satellites up around our planet that are taking images and doing video shots and all this stuff, and infrared, X-rays, just measuring all of these frequencies coming off of the sun. And what's happened the last couple of weeks is there have been like 9-hour, 12-hour blank spots where there's no information, right? And I'm not talking about just the satellites. There's also the sensors that measure the Schumann resonance on the ground, which are completely unrelated. They're not connected to the satellites. And that's shown the same 9, 12-hour blank spots where they just cut the data. So we don't have it. But what we do have, yeah, you bet. And so a lot of this energy that's hitting the planet right now is going to either cause or intensify the effects, or it can cause or intensify the effects that we are feeling from targeting. So learning that, what it's done for me is helped me to disconnect from being angry at someone and understanding that some of this, at least some of it, is from natural causes that probably a lot of other people around the planet, most other people around the planet are experiencing that are not actual physical targets like we are. So it's something that might be helpful to look at. It is for me anyway.
I just see this attitude, so it's so unlike the people that have it. I mean, I know that there are TIs that think, oh, they're in on it, there's this plan, they're getting paid. It's not. They're possessed. They're taken over,
Yeah,
and I just sit there like, oh no, I feel so alone. It's like, because, like I said before, the first person I told about this was somebody that I went to church with. And he was an Army vet. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he never really detached himself from the military. He's always doing something, whether it's for the veterans, for the wounded warriors, for these kids. They go on these camps, these military camps. He's still involved, all right? And when you look at him, you see a soldier. I mean, he's an older guy, but you see a soldier. He's fit as can be, muscular, and we became friends at church because he had broken up with somebody, and I guess he was interested. I wasn't, but I liked him. I really liked him as a friend, and he was respected, highly respected in my church. So I was like in my car. This was 2000, I think it was 2011. And I was in my car crying, screaming, because that's where I scream, in my car. Okay. And I'm thinking, I can't go to work. I can't. And I'm trying to weigh out what I'm going to do. Like, if I don't go to work and I turn around and I go home, this noise is still going to be here. It's not like it's going to go away. And as I'm weighing this out, whether to get out of my car or not, my phone rings. And who is it? Bob. So I blurted it out. And he's the first person I ever told. I was like, I can't take it. And I said, remember when I told you? And I just, I think in a nutshell, I told him. I mean, I didn't even go into detail. And I said, but what I did say, I said, they communicate with me. I said, but not words, but not in speech. So he said, oh, you mean telepathically? This is what he says to me. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, most people, the first person they tell calls them a nut. This man gives me a word, all right? He says, you mean telepathically? I said, yes. He said, oh, my God, why did you get involved with those people? And he's screaming, why did you get involved with those people? He actually said fucking people, which the man, I never heard him curse. And I was like, I didn't know, but I knew that Bob had friends at the FBI. So we went out to breakfast, and I said to him, Bob, I know your friends are in the FBI. I said, can they help me? And he looked at me like with his eyes, he was in tears, and he said to me, honey, he says, my friends can't help you. You need people in very high places. I had 2 people in very high places that I didn't realize. I didn't even realize it. Okay? They're both dead. Bob got a stroke. He was coming to my house and had a stroke. All right? My pastor, who I was very close with, had a stroke. My brother, who, when I told my brother, his first words were, did you ever see the show Conspiracy Theory? I said, what? He goes, yeah, Jesse Ventura, that governor. That's what it sounds like. See, my brother was like, I didn't even know about Jesse Ventura. I had no idea, right? But this was how receptive my brother was. My brother's been sick for 3 years, undiagnosed. I mean, this is outrageous. My mother had a stroke October 4th. Do you know what they were doing to me on October 4th? They were hitting me in the right side of my head, my temple. They were hitting me there. Okay, I don't get headaches. I'm not prone to headaches. They were telling me my mother had a stroke, and that's exactly where her stroke was.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I could wow you, and like I said,
are you moving your body, getting out and getting some physical movement in your body at least once a day?
I'm always moving. I took 12 walks today. Yeah, I'm always moving. I don't stop.
That's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Your name is Betty, right? You're Betty?
Betty?
No, I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I have. Huh? Anne. Okay, Anne.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Anne. I'm terrible with names. It's part of my whatever, my immediate memory. I want to remember your name, and I hear the distress. I do, and we all experience it in our own different way, and I'm really sorry. I am, and there's just no words for it, you know.
And you
know what, Anne? I want you to remember something, and I know it's really hard because you are. I don't know who you have in an immediate circle to depend on, but you said that you feel alone, and I know how you feel alone, but because we aren't physically near you to hold your hand through this, and I wish we were. I wish we could all, miracle of miracles, somehow be able to handhold. But this is the best we got, So I just want you to remember that people really care about you, and we care about you on every level.
I know. When I say alone, I feel as if I am in a movie, okay? And everybody is a character because they are controlled. I see it, and I'm like,
well, of course they are. But see, you see it because you're the target. So they don't realize that they're the mouthpiece to control you.
I have people that love me, that are around me. There's no reason for me to feel alone, but they're like, and I don't. I can see it. When you're watching a horror movie and there's a guy with a chainsaw behind them and you're yelling at the characters in the movie, look behind you. This is what it's like. Yeah. These drastic personality changes that I've never seen before. One of the things that I wrote down, they said, was, and they were talking about somebody was turning 21, so it was age, okay? 21 and the world is yours. And I wrote it down. As a matter of fact, I called Bob and I told him, 21 in the world is yours. What does that mean? He didn't know. All right. It wasn't until years later that I heard about, of course, I'm a TI, so, now I'm researching TI stuff. And now I know about Agenda 21. So I assumed that it was Agenda 21 they were talking about. But now I'm rethinking that. Because now I'm thinking, they have predicted the future with me. If I tell you what they told me about the future, I mean, I don't know how they knew unless they were responsible for it or they was these people these mentalists, all right? I don't know. I don't know how they knew.
Can you share a little bit about what you think they're headed with this? And not Agenda, if it's not Agenda 21,
21
what are you thinking it is?
I think it has to do with COVID, and I think it has to do with vaccines. If these vaccines are going to go into you and nanobots are going to be, directed at your DNA, and I'm thinking that by 2021 they're saying, the vaccines will be out. I'm starting to think that.
So, but I don't know what you mean by that. So you think that they're gonna control people, will have more power over people because of the nanobots that you think will be in within persons via the vaccines or whatever way they do, and then you think they're going to be much more controllable because with the neural weapon systems. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
But you said you don't think it has to do with Agenda 21. What do you think it has to do with in the big picture?
2021. Yeah, 2021 and what's coming.
Right. So what do you think is coming?
Agenda 21 didn't exactly fit into "and the world is yours." It didn't fit in. You know what I mean? But it was age, so it was age 21, Agenda 21.
Yeah. Well, there's if you go on the United Nations website, they talk about Agenda 2030. And that's when they wanted to be able to institute the minimalization of it's all sustainable. The whole Agenda 2030 and 21 was all about sustainable development.
Exactly.
So that's and then it shoots off into all the different theories about the populations and how they're going to have sustainable development and all the permitting that started. There's rapid permitting in most communities, and you see all of the hotel-style apartment complexes that are going up everywhere, all over the country, and they're trying to get people out of the rural areas. That's all in action, and then there are people who believe that the wildfires out west are directly linked to all of those issues. So, there is a big part of that with all of this.
No, I absolutely. I researched 21 thoroughly, but it's not. It wasn't I wasn't making the connection until COVID. Then I was making the connection. Then I says, that maybe I could be wrong. Maybe that's what they meant because I see the mind control. I see it now. This is why they're so brazen. They don't care who knows anymore. If they can control people, what? They don't care. They'll do it right, but they don't care. Why are they so brazen? Yeah. They're out of control. They don't even try to hide it anymore.
Hello, all. I'm here listening. Your name is Anne, you said?
Yes.
Yes. My name is Bloomy, and I was on the call probably 2018, and I think I just had some horrible experiences since then, and I was more prepared for them by listening in on the calls and hearing what was happening. But I don't want to go into that tonight, what's happened since 2018 to now. But I was listening to you, Anne, and I think your story sounds a lot similar to what's happening to me, and I am baffled also by the boldness of the perpetrators. But, talking about being targeted, we have to think about this as I always think about it as an octopus, and it has like all of these tentacles and everything is leading, towards total control of humanity. We just happen to be targets, and I thank God that we are aware of it so that we could be more diligent about protecting ourselves. But I'm currently in a household with a sister that I know that she's targeted, but she has no idea because her targeting is different than mine. And what the goal they're trying to accomplish with her is different than myself. I'm in an area where, we're on the grid, and it's all about sustainable development, and they are they're basically taking over the area, and everything is on the grid. Your electricity, your everything in your house, all of your appliances. And because I was aware of this from many years ago doing some research, I actually thought this was going to be for some further in the future. I had no idea it would be this early in our civilization because nothing good is going to come out of this. You heard of other races of people, we read about them and they disappeared. I have a feeling if something doesn't happen, we're actually free falling, and they're going to wipe this generation out. And it has a lot to do with wireless. It has to do with Wi-Fi. It has to do with smart meter. It has to do with all of these smart equipment. And we have a lot of things in our homes that is actually, as a targeted person, is actually surveilling and targeting us.
Do you know, I happened to live through a disaster, okay, a weather disaster, and that was Superstorm Sandy. My house is on the beach. Mm-hmm. On the beach. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was a wave hit it. I mean, and I witnessed, the garbage and what people were throwing out, the contents of their homes, and replacing everything, coffee pots, TVs, every appliance was replaced with something new and probably smart. Okay. Yeah. One of the messages that I was getting, I wrote them down. One of the messages that I was getting in 2009 is start smart. I had no clue. I thought they were talking about me. They were starting to develop and distribute smart TVs, smart appliances. Everything smart was in the plan. As Petraeus bragged, to who? Venture capitalist. That's who. Did anybody say, look at who his audience is? Talking about how you could sneak into people's houses without being there? Okay. Venture capitalists. Venture capitalists is part of the MIC. Okay, it's part of the military-industrial complex. So, and every time I see so-called natural disaster, so-called, because it's one of the things they told me as well. And why? Why would you tell me? Why?
Okay, you know what, Sandy? Okay, there is this lady, by you're saying that is talking to you. There is a book out there by a targeted person. She's no longer targeted as much anymore, but the book is called Pernicious Wires, and it's about her targeting. And the book was written. She told me because I got I heard about her and got her number, and I called her and I spoke with her. And the book, she wrote this book several years ago. And it was dictated to her by her perps. So if you want to do some research, it's called Pernicious Wires. So this lady wrote an entire book with the stories the perps were telling her, including that she was actually adopted, and her father, she was adopted by a different nationality, but she was actually Jewish, and she didn't know. And they were telling her all of the sins of her father and all of this, and she found out everything that. Yeah, everything is true. So what they were telling, just like what they told you, everything they're telling you is true. And also with the 21, I do agree with you that 2021 is going to be a pivotal year, because if they bring the vaccines out, the vaccines are a major depopulation tool, and it's also going to be three-pronged, and with one where they inject into every human is going to be software, so they could track and torture and kill you at will anytime they want. So the vaccine is not a cure for anything, because neither is COVID. That's all. I mean, basically, out in Wuhan where it first started, they were having the symptoms of corona before. It's because it was one of the cities where it's a smart city, and it's all, it's run by 5G. And so 5G and everything they're doing with is 5G, so everything could be autonomous and with electricity. It's because they really totally want to have control over humanity. And, many years ago when you hear about the Georgia Guidestone, I saw that and I read about it. I'm thinking, there's no way that could happen. There's no way. No, it's about depopulation. It's major depopulation, because the people who are their lead, they think most of humanity are just useless eaters, and they want a different type of human because we're too heavy. We eat too much. You would cost it, so they want. They basically want a generation of transhumanists, run by AI, the singularity, all of those evil things. And someone was on earlier, and she was talking about God, and the Bible does say that the devil is the prince of the power of the air, and it is the power that now worketh in the children of disobedience. So all of this stuff that's happening, all of it is through the air. You can't see it, but oh my gosh, could you feel it like a bitch? I mean, what they do with these weapons. And so right now they're in, it seems like they're in control. But I sense a desperation, and also there is a boldness, because if you were to go to the police, and in some areas, if you would go and take something to the police, I heard another guy on, he was talking about how he called the police. In some states, if you were to call the police and talk about Cheney and what happened, and they would drag you off and put you in a mental ward, because that's what happens. No, I'm not. No, this is true. They do. You cannot go. You cannot talk about anything that's happening to you in some states. They would see it as a threat. Yeah, they so anytime you talk about, even if you would say that someone's hitting you, like you talk about getting hit on the head, that's how it started with me. I was getting zapped in the head. I mean, cars behind me at night, it's like zap. Because I did, some research many years ago, I kind of knew about targeted people. I didn't know what happened to them, but because I am a Christian, yes, and when it happened the very first time that I got hit, I knew precisely what it was. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, I cannot believe it. It's like I'm targeted. And I knew, they were trying to give me a heart attack. I have people following me, and I was fortunate enough that I was able to go to the doctor that helped the TI couple years ago. I went to her last year. I don't hear of her anymore. She's Dr. Staninger. I went to, didn't go to her, but she did my testing, and she recommended someone for me to have my scans done. And oh my gosh.
So what did you find out?
I found out they're actually trying to transhumanize me. Basically, I am, they're trying with the robotization. And what's interesting about it is that I got a lot of information. It cost a lot, but I got a lot of information. I found out who was behind some of it. And the building I was living in, I found out that it was a Chinese research company. So I'm injected with almost everything. I looked at some of those results, and it's like it's cognitive dissonance, like reading it, because you cannot believe they could put this amount of stuff into one human being. But yet they're working it. They are definitely working it. So someone, even when she sent me the results at my home, someone was here and accepted my mail, and I never even got the results. I had to get a second. So they even came and stole my mail so they could see what was happening. And now, because they have my results, I could just tell how efficient they are at, really working all of the implants. I have quite a few of everything inside, so it's very interesting. And if I weren't a believer, I would actually have lost hope. But I know that a lot of these people that are, the gang stalkers and the perps, the list, they're on the very same list that we're on. I think, when you would look at the quality of people that are being used and those who are targeted, I think a lot of it has to do with psychopathy, because there's no way when they would look at us, I could have ever been chosen to be a perp. So it's almost like it's not an honor, but the fact that they know that I couldn't be brainwashed to this point where they could talk me into tormenting.
I have said this. I have said it often, and this is part of the surveillance. I mean, the total surveillance. They have. I mean, they are surveilling children. They know where their souls are. They know.
Yeah.
So they're handpicked.
Yeah. They are, and I think they think less of them than they do of us. I mean, honestly, I feel because they are very disposable also, and a lot of them are actually starting, I've had friends where they've had perps, they've had like at least 6 of them that died. I mean, a lot of them they just dropped because they're dealing with this frequency. And it's, to me, I'm thinking it's almost like it's secondhand smoke, like they're getting it because they're dealing with these frequencies 24, a lot of them, whether they have an 8-hour shift or whatever. So it's damaging them also.
It happens not often, but they have sent boots on the ground my way. Not often. Yeah. And I do believe that the people were not aware of what they were doing, okay? The harassment that they sent my way, I don't believe that they were aware of what they were doing. It just didn't jive. And there were other times where, okay, this was silly. I go to get a battery for my car, and I go somewhere where I usually don't go. So when I get there, the garage was empty. It was actually Walmart and like 10 towns away from me, and but it was where they had an automotive, and I thought that my battery that I have was still under warranty. All right, so that's why I went there. So I go in. The garage is empty. I go into the automotive area. They're playing, these 2 women. One is drinking coffee. The other one's playing on his cell phone. There was not a soul in sight. It was like I disturbed their peace by wanting to buy a battery. And they had to call the mechanic, and he was annoyed. But this was, no perps, just regular. And then suddenly, as I'm waiting for them to install my battery, 3 men are now looking at the battery that's on display that I just bought, and the place starts getting really crowded.
Yes.
And I laugh my butt off. See, so I laugh at this stuff. So they don't do it to me because I think it's hilarious that they got somebody away from what they were doing, come to Walmart. So another time, the first battery before this one, I was in Walmart, and who decides to help me? This man walks over to me, and he is really super friendly, and he's wearing a cap, a baseball cap. And you know what the cap said? CIA, okay? That's what his baseball cap said. So I said, so you've been to the Culinary Institute? I mean, I don't let them do this to me. There is no way.
Culinary Institute of America.
That's it.
That's a good one. Okay, that's good.
Talk about bold. All right, so he says, can I have your phone number? Because when I finish shopping, he goes, I'll meet you in the parking lot. I gave it to him. I was sure. You know what? He changed my battery. Oh. I said, how do you know how to do this stuff? I said to him, he goes, I fiddle around in my garage.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
Well,
you know what? I think you are right about some people are not aware that they're being used in that way, but my experience is that I've had both. I've had the ones you could tell that they're being used and they have no idea, and then there are other ones that they're actively participating, because I have a story where, one of the people that I was, they've actually killed someone, the person that I've been dealing with since 2000. I think since I was on any of these calls, since then I've had that where we knew she was targeted, and yeah, so there's a lot of, there's some danger involved with them also, but I've had lots of boots on the ground, lots and lots of boots on the ground, and then many people, I can tell they're not aware, especially the ones where they have the apps on their phones and they have your frequency. I mean, you could stand in line with people, and because of the technology and because of the surveillance, they could tap into someone's phone and just turn it on with it.
They can definitely do. They can definitely do that.
They do that, and then but everyone now is on their phone and they have it out and they're off.
I mean, they do that all the time, and it's it's kind of ridiculous. Like this morning, I woke up to hello, my TV turns on all by itself, and my surround sound speaker, which is Bluetooth, it's turning on, and guess what? They know that my bedroom is right above it, and hello, wake up, it's time to wake up. And they tap into my computers, and they
Are you in the building?
Am I in the building?
Yeah.
I live in a townhouse community.
Okay. So do you think it's someone who lives in the community?
Definitely not. I mean, this is...
Okay. No, you're right. I agree. Because so many people think, it's the people upstairs or the people next door. No, it's not. Or anyway, with me, because I live in a private house and there's nobody around me, and they do that to me. Okay, so
right, and that's when you need to start thinking, who can actually access every single piece of
outlets. That's right.
Well,
you can
actually go through outlets. Actually, I set up a network at my ex-girlfriend's house, just over the electrical grid inside of her house. I actually set that up myself. So the electric that runs through your home, that can definitely be used for transfer data. I mean, let's be honest. I did it with a couple things that I found online, and I was like, this is definitely unique. You can actually use the electrical grid in your house. You have the your electrical box with all the breakers in it, but then every single outlet in your home can actually turn that electrical box into an actual network where data can actually be transferred from one point to another point. And I'm not saying one point to another point inside your home. I'm saying one point in your home to, say, a server, across the United States. So I have experience with technology like that, and I was like very interested. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can actually use your electrical grid to actually become an actual network where data can be transferred. So if there's data being transferred, everything else can be transferred, signals and everything else. But
Yep.
so I've been having, like, this is the first day that this actually happened. In my bedroom, it's about 8:30 a.m. About maybe a couple minutes before that, my alarm's going to go off at 8:30, and all of a sudden, my TV in my living room turns on automatically, and I'm upstairs, and I'm like, what is that noise? And then I have this, I guess it's like a sound bar, and it's Bluetooth, and it goes on, and it's blasting, and I was just like, yep. Somebody's definitely, messing with everything. Yeah, you can definitely use an electrical grid to manipulate anything, anywhere. Like you plug your phone into the outlet, and you think it's charging. It's you can have data extraction. You can have data, like certain things inserted into your phone. You can have, like, whatever they can do, they can do it both ways. So you're looking at a receiver and a transmitter at the same time. And yes, you can definitely use, like, anytime you plug something into an electrical grid, just a plug, boom, your data can be gone. Your data can be manipulated. I mean, you can be manipulated. The list goes on and on and on and on. But I've had that done, and then I've had my computers. They're getting hacked every single day. They're being turned on, turned off. I've even had a situation where they took my whole entire desktop of my computer, like every single icon that was on the desktop of my computer, and they renamed them all to the same exact thing. And I'm like, who did this? And I have to go in, and I'm like clicking on everything. I'm going through all the files, and I've got to rename everything back to the way it was. So, I mean, it's cyber torture. It's electronic torture. I mean, there's so many different names for what they can do. Why they are targeting us, I don't know. Maybe we're past thinkers. Maybe we're a challenge. Maybe, there's like so many.
Maybe we're research. Maybe they want to see the outcome before they go through the entire population.
Maybe we're a bunch of characters, and they just like to surveil us.
Maybe they want to sell their product, and they have to prove it works. I mean, these are corporations.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, with all the high-tech industries that are out there, and, I mean, you look at a couple of them, and they're basically the richest companies in the world. They need somebody to practice these things on. I mean, I don't know.
It's the only thing that keeps the economy going right now. They're the richest companies in the world.
So, I mean, cyber torture it's kind of crazy. I'm actually to the point where I'm actually remote neural monitored, and they can see everything that I see, hear everything that I can hear.
Yep.
They can actually, I had surgery a little under 2 years ago, and my body started vibrating. And I mean, I was like, this is not normal. I feel like there's like some kind of a crazy frequency just transmitting out of my body, and then I had the high-pitched squealing noise going on. And I'm like, there's definitely something transmitting. And when I was like really, really young, I actually joined a wireless company, and I was one of their technical support representatives, and they sent me out to a school in Kansas City, and I came back, and I mean, we're talking about like in the late 90s, and I gathered all this knowledge about how this technology actually works. And then I went to school for computer hardware support, network administration, so I know how data is transferred. I mean, I kind of have like a really good solid foundation on what could actually be happening. And then, I mean, if you just start researching everything, I mean, it's all out there on the internet.
It is. This information is all out there. It really is.
Right.
I don't know why other CIs, they have the information, they look at it, they read it. Well, it's happening. It's not just on paper. It's happening.
Well, in some cases, a lot of the information that they're gathering is from their own experiences, and that seems to be where the problem is, because a lot of people's experiences are somewhat different, and that's where the confusion begins. But, well, just an interesting story. A gentleman had a story pretty close to what the gentleman here is telling, and in the morning when he woke, or we can't forget that we're not waking ourselves, they do put you to sleep and they do wake you up. So if you woke and the noise was blaring, this other gentleman took off down the stairs, didn't want it to wake up anyone else, and as he was going down the stairs really fast, he ran into someone he could not see, tripped, fell down the stairway, and broke a leg. And looked back up the stairway and heard someone snicker. So there's a little bit more going on in all of the people's targeting than, information of this you can find, but it's not going to say, well, there's invisible people, or there's cloaking, or there's mind control to keep you from seeing certain people or certain things. You're not going to catch all of that. If you experience it, then you've got the information, because information is not always.
They conclude the simplest explanation, and that's silly, because if you're really a researcher, okay, you will always say it could be A, B,
Ma'am, I
C,
sit here and listen
D,
for 2 hours, everybody talking, and now I'm trying to just say
that I
one
haven't
thing.
thought of yet.
Well, let me finish. Can I finish what I was saying?
You usually do.
Hi, Richard. Please do.
The bottom line is, well, I like to lean toward people that are a little bit smarter than I, and I'm no dummy, but I still lean that way. And the words that were said plainly was, information is not knowledge. Experience is knowledge. And that was said by Mr. Albert Einstein himself. It's not me trying to say it. I'm just agreeing. Right. I'm just agreeing with what he said.
I agree with it as well. What happened?
I have talked to enough TIs and heard enough stories. It breaks my heart. It's sad. And we get a lot of people on these calls that, well, maybe would speak up and share and talk, but I didn't wait for that. I got on the phones and I called them and I begged and pleaded, and this is what I want to do. I want to hear your stories. And I've listened to thousands and thousands of stories over the years.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Why can't I finish speaking?
Oh, because you're so long-winded.
I've listened for 2 hours, and you're going to call me long-winded?
Mhm. Yeah, I've been dying to say that for a few years.
I'm sending a positive frequency, please. I'm sending positive frequency.
Continue, Richard. Tell us more.
I don't have another word to say.
Richard, there's two of us. We want to hear what you have to say. Richard, we want to hear what you have to say. Here. Hi, that is anticlimactic, I would say. Hello, anyone there?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm back. I was in the restroom. Sorry. Did I miss something? I am now back. It sounded like did things get loud for a minute? Well, I missed about the last 7 minutes, so, is everybody okay?
Yes, everyone's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I think sometimes it seems like, sometimes on the phone, I guess we do have to use courtesy, but sometimes we do talk into each other, but it happens sometimes. But I think Richard, because he was waiting for a while, he kind of got a little offended because, he was pausing in between, and I think the lady didn't know that he was
I didn't realize. I didn't when he paused. That's why I said he was long. I said he was long-winded because he does. He talks slow. He pauses, and I think he's finished. I mean, and Richard is on. He talks every night on every call. I mean, you always hear the same voices, and his is one of them. So when he says that he waited for 2 hours, well, I'm not talking for 2 hours, that's for sure.
I figured in between the pause, I figured you didn't know he was still speaking.
I didn't. You're correct. I didn't. But I couldn't. I'm sorry. I couldn't hold back because he is. I'm sorry. He does take up a lot of time on the calls, on other calls, and he does. So, and I tell them.
We're all on the same side. You know what I mean? Concerning this.
It's great information.
Yeah.
And everybody has something to offer.
Richard dropped off the call, and I can I just say I've had some conversations with Richard, and in his space, I don't want to speak for him, but what the underlying theme is that I'm hearing from Richard is he wants solutions. He's looking for solutions, and it's we empathize with each other. We all go through the same things and different things, but it's all torture. And we want to find solutions, and that's kind of the way I am too. I've been through all of it, and I'm always, I don't just talk about creative things to do. I do creative things for my own well-being, and then hopefully it inspires other people to, laugh, because laughing is the quickest way to that love energy, and it's helpful. So anyway, Richard's an awesome guy. I love him, and there isn't anybody else that I don't. I love everybody in the community, so I feel for all of you, for all of us. So I'm gonna head out and go watch some MASH and get a good laugh before I go to sleep.
And it's usually our time for closing the call is at midnight, and we've kind of run over. But I think on that note, Jesse, thank you for your words, and I think we're going to say goodnight to everybody, and stay strong, and hopefully you'll come back next week. And anybody wants to bring anything new or new information, please do. And
great.
Thanks,
Thank
Lily.
you for having the call, Lily.
Oh, yes, I'm very, very happy to help. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. So that's it?